Thank you very much. North Las Vegas City Council welcomes each and every one of you to our meeting today. If you wish to complete one of the blue cards that are located on the end of the dais here. And please give the card to the city clerk. When we call upon you to speak, we request that your comments to no more than 3 minutes and avoid any repetition. We appreciate you. You can see the meeting before the meeting sometimes is just as important as the meeting that's going on. So it takes us a minute to get started. Madam Clerk, are we in compliance with the open meeting law?
We are in compliance.
Great. We're very fortunate to have the invocation night by Reverend Ann Thomas of the Heritage United Methodist Church. And following her, we have the fastest young lady in North Las Vegas, Janiyah Sampson from Johnson Middle School in the Las Vegas Heat, will give us our Pledge of Allegiance.
Mayor, Council, fellow citizens, let us pray. Creator God, who lives and loves through each one of us, be present here today. Bless this gathering. Bless the mayor and the council. Give them your eyes that they would see these people as your children. Give them your wisdom that they would see the path you would have them choose, so that all of your children would live in peace and prosperity. Bless their work this night and always. Bless the people gathered here. Those seeking help, may they find it. Those seeking guidance, may they receive it. We know that there are many who are not here this night, many who will be impacted by the decisions that are made here, many who are represented in the conversation. Keep them in our minds throughout the discussions on all of the matters before this body and in the decisions that are made. Bless the discussions. May they be fruitful. May they be respectful of all. And most of all, may all of the discussion be filled with your wisdom. All this we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Reverend Ann. Appreciate you. And Ms. Sampson, thank you so much. This is the first of two portions of the meeting devoted to the public. This portion of the meeting, this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda only. When I call your name, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. I have two cards here. Mr. Paul Moratkin, I see you here, and following him, Bob Merceraw, if you'd come up after him.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. For the record, Paul Moratkin, Director of Government Affairs for Las Vegas Metro Chamber of Commerce. I just want to speak on items 27, 28, and 29 regarding the business impact statement process. Just want to thank Director Blackburn for his efforts engaging the business community. His outreach was phenomenal. He met with us several times. Because of his efforts, we were able to notify our membership on our website, our magazine, worked with him to get that information out so people were aware of the changes to the process tonight. So we just want to thank your staff for their efforts, and we're pleased with the process. So thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you. Before you leave, Paul, I'd like to congratulate your, I guess he was your director or whatever title Brian McNally, my dear friend, just took a job at the City of Las Vegas. I think that's a great move for him. I hope that brings you the opportunity you need at the Chamber, and will continue to work with us. But thank you so much for all the Chamber does and the leadership you provide for our community.
Thank you. And I'll pass your well wishes on to Brian tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Mayor.
very much. At this time, we have a presentation and a proclamation.
Mayor? Excuse me.
Oh,
we have-
Bob. Come on up, Bob. You're my best friend right now.
Best friends are so easy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Bob Mercero, 4836 Crystal Sword Street. I've got some concern and had it for 7 or 8 years about this Park Highlands area, particularly the ones like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, where they want to increase the density. We went through this program with everything in 2003, 2004. Every time somebody flipped the land, somebody wanted to go ahead and increase the density to get more bucks out of the deal and so on to get the return on their investment. We've been talking for the city for the last 10 years, as I can remember, talking about let's do something to bring businesses into the city. Let's change the image of the city and so on. The way this thing is set up right now, this is just another bedroom community. Okay, they had some great plans in 2005, 6, whatever it was, where we were going to have some, high up-end homes and, high-end homes and higher middle-class homes and so on. This is our last bastion, basically, for public dirt available right now in the area here, unless we go into some land it's owned by the Bureau of Land Management or something like that. So I think maybe what they should do is help the city out, help maybe turn part of this land into commercial property where we can create some things that would bring something to the city that would give us this high end so they could then get the return on investment from the homes, bring the people in, get the investment here, and develop an IT center or an R&D center or, create an economic magnet in part of that land. They've got plenty of land they could use, and it would benefit the entire community. That's what we've been looking for, and here's the dirt we could do it with. Thank you very much.
Bob, just hang on. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later, so appreciate you coming up and starting the discussion, okay?
Yeah, in other words, I don't have a real concern about the year's delay, but that year's delay might really work to help get some of this stuff done to help the city out and put us where we want to be and have wanted to be.
Very attentive on that. Thank you very much. I think I'll close the public hearing. Now we have the opportunity to have a presentation or proclamation. The first presentation we will have is a recognition award presentation to 21 USA track and field athletes from the Las Vegas Heat Track Club. It's a local North Las Vegas track club who competed in the 2014 Junior Olympics held at Turner Stadium in Houston, Texas, on July 21st through 27th. We have the young athletes here, and Cedric will help us make the presentations. And then after that, we have a proclamation proclaiming and recognizing Poker Palaces Casino's 40th anniversary for their outstanding dedication to the North Las Vegas community. Ms. Goins will make the presentation for the track, and Ms. Woods, Councilman Wood, will make it for the Poker Palace. So we're going to come down to the front now.
There we go. All right. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to acknowledge this team. Back in January, when we started our regular season, USA Track and Field has approximately 70 to 80,000 athletes that start off the season wishing and wanting to make it to Junior Olympics. The Las Vegas Heat was very fortunate this year to send 21 of our athletes that qualified through association's regional in order to make it to Junior Olympics, which is a huge accomplishment. And actually, we send the largest contingent from the Las Vegas Heat Youth Track Club, of which I have, this year we had about 90 athletes, 20 or so coaches and staff that helped make that happen and make that possible. And some of the things that they've done, and which we're going to acknowledge tonight, is the fact that there were 8,000 athletes that made it to Junior Olympics in the country. Our lowest ranked person was, I believe, 36th in the country, and many of them were in the top 10, top 15 in the country. There is a group here that the mayor's, or someone's going to, this is Councilwoman Pamela Goins Brown. She's going to adorn with their medals. They didn't get to get them there, but tonight we wanted to let them know how special they are for what they've done and how proud we are of them. And I want to thank my chief. When we first had our first meeting over at at our headquarters, actually, he came in and he started this with us, and it's very apropos that he's here to finish it with us as well.
So if you'll just give me a second to thank these young women. So not only to recognize them tonight, but to truly thank them. As they've gone forth, they've not only represented themselves, but they've represented their teammates, they've represented their coaches, they've represented their families, They've represented this fine community and this great valley. So we would like to not only recognize you for just being outstanding young ladies, but for just representing us in a way that you are exceptional, exceptional young ladies. So thank you for representing us. Can we give them a round of applause? So, Mayor, if you'll give me another 30 seconds, I'd also like to have the coaches please stand. If the coaches could please stand. These are exceptional men and women. These men and women have not only given of their time, but they have given a lot of their time. They have truly given back to the community. They have not only taught these young ladies how to be exceptional athletes, but to be exceptional young ladies. They teach these young ladies great life skills, and they've taught them how to give back and to teach them a legacy of service and to give back to your community. So these men and women that have donated their lives and their time and their effort, not only to give here, but given attitude and effort, right? Attitude and effort to help them to be successful. And so can we give them a round of applause as well?
With that, he says, young ladies, it's unique this year. This is the first time it's ever happened in our history. We had those 21 that qualified to go. 20 of them were young ladies on the team. And so the young man had to go to football practice, but that's why. A very unique season, one for the ladies, that's for certain. Actually, the medals are? There was a team of 4x100 meter relay runners who competed, and they left Houston without their medals. And tonight we want to acknowledge them first and foremost. Their name is actually on the back there.
Ashley Moore for the 8th 4x100. Wow. And her time is 53.71 seconds. That's kind of fast. Very fast. Oh, the whole team's time is 53.71. Okay. Jemiah Sampson. And if I say your wrong name, please let me know. Azalea Pitts. Trinity Rainey.
So these are the athletes. Their names in it. So if you want, I can read them real quick or however you want to.
Yeah, because you know them. Okay.
All right, and these are certificates. The accomplishments just to make it to Junior Olympics. I've had kids that have competed their entire careers and never actually make it to Junior Olympics. So we wanted to acknowledge all of those 21 participants that made it there. And tonight we start out with Ajane Valentine. Nishea Brown. Salea Bruce. Kayla Diamond. Sincere Dodd. Lamicia Holloway. Sorrel James. Jocelyn Jordan. We're getting this quick. Sydney Kelly. Ashley Moore. I know she's here. Nakia Penn. Azalea Pitts. I'm going to say this next one. She's not here. Angel Powell. Delilah Powell. Trinity Rainey. And last, certainly not least, Miss Janiyah Sampson. We really want to thank you guys for this acknowledgement. And one of the biggest things I want to point out is not only do we ask them to volunteer and give back, their parents as well, the work and the dedication that they put into from practices to travel to so on and so forth, and also the contract and commitment that they make not only on the track, but in the classroom. There is a requirement to be a good student, also good attitude, all right, because we believe that it makes a difference, and these are our future, and we are very, very proud. And I'm proud to be called the head coach of the Las Vegas Heat. Thank you, Council.
There you go. This is for my good friends, Laura and Mickey Coleman, who have been stalwart supporters of North Las Vegas for over 40 years now. The Poker Palace, located at 2757 Las Vegas Boulevard North, was established in 1974 as a bar with one blackjack table, 8 slot machines, and two pool tables in a building that was approximately 700 square feet in size, the size of a small apartment. Mickey and Laura Coleman have seen their business grow over the last 40 years, and in 1994, the Poker Palace was well ahead of the times by offering their customers with the first smoke-free casino in Southern Nevada. Laura Coleman works tirelessly in support of our community. In the early 90s, Laura hosted the television show North Las Vegas Now for nearly 2 years, and to this day she drives a car with a personalized plate of NLV Now. Laura volunteers her time to the Boys and Girls Club of North Las Vegas, and I can tell you that she uses her own money every month to host a birthday party for those having their birthdays, and that for many of those kids, that may be the only birthday party they get, but they make sure they get one, and that's at the doing of Laura Coleman and her efforts. And they love when she comes, because she comes full of gifts, and she comes with a cake, and she comes with all the birthday fixings.
And pizza.
And pizza.
And pizza.
She is a proud supporter of the military and was co-chair of this year's Nellis Creech and Military Veterans Appreciation Day, held at Craig Ranch Regional Park in May. She is also a fellow board member with the mayor at our own North Vista Hospital, and Laura has volunteered her time at Nathan Adelson Hospice for the past 24 years and has chaired their annual fundraising event for the last 15 years. So please welcome Laura Coleman. Laura, we have this proclamation for you that says, "It is the policy and pleasure of the City Council of the City of North Las Vegas to recognize special events and support local businesses in the community. And whereas the Poker Palace Casino has been a prominent member of the Southern Nevada community for 40 years, and whereas the Poker Palace Casino has a tradition of providing the citizens of North Las Vegas with quality food and entertainment, and whereas the Poker Palace Casino has shown their dedication to the North Las Vegas community by providing approximately 130 jobs in the city of North Las Vegas, now therefore we, the City Council of the City of North Las Vegas, do hereby proclaim September 3rd, 2014 as Poker Palace Casino 40th Anniversary Day.
And your birthday was in August. And birthday club at Boys and Girls Club is next Thursday, September 11th. It's from 4 to 6. We got cake, ice cream, pizza, presents. Your name will be on the cake, so we'd love for you to come and come meet the kids at the they call it James Club, but we call it North Las Vegas Boys and Girls Club on Cary. Thank you so much, and it's been, I'm looking this way. It's a pleasure to serve this community. I love North Las Vegas. In the Poker Palace, when we used to advertise on TV, our tagline was always North Las Vegas and proud of it, and we still are. Thank you. Wait a minute, I hugged him and I hugged him and I hugged him.
Can we get another picture real quick for
Oh.
you? This is ready. Thank you, Laura Coleman.
No.
Cedric, would you like to release your track team? This would be an appropriate time if you'd like. Hey, thank you guys. You did great. Madam City Clerk, please begin with tonight's first item.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Approval of regular City Council meeting agenda of September 3, 2014 for possible action.
Mayor and Council, we have the following changes to tonight's agenda. Staff has requested that items number 2 through 9 on the public hearings to be continued to September 2nd, 2015. Item number 34 on the business to be tabled to September 17, 2014. And item number 47 on the appointments to be tabled to September 17, 2015.
Thank you very much. Council, any comments or questions on the approval of tonight's agenda as amended? Not the approval as amended. Please cast your vote. I would like to, council, say one thing here, and this is concerning Bob's discussion about that land out there. And I've talked to the casino owners who own this property out there, and we have went through a tough economic time. They have done all the work to be in place for if the growth of the community ever gets out there, they could have casinos in that area. There is a lot of new life starting out in that area, but they wanted a 2-year time limit, I believe, and we went down to 1. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's been many, many years these pieces of property have just been sitting. And the time has come, either they're going to be casinos or they're going to be industrial, they're going to be commercial, they're going to be something. And our citizen, Bob, came up and mentioned that. So I've talked to each of these individuals who have this property, they keep rolling it every year, saying, don't come back next year with the same plan. Have a plan for that property, or be prepared for it to roll back into the general ability of the city to master plan that community for some other reason. So anyway, just to let you know, we've given 1 more year because it is so expensive and so hard to get those designations for casinos, but they're going to have to figure out either they're going to start building or they're going to convert this into industrial, commercial, or some other need that the city has. So I appreciate you, Bob, coming up on that, and we have let them know that the time has come for them to make a decision how they're going to master plan it for us. So thank you very much. On the consent agenda,
Consent agenda. Matters listed on the consent agenda are considered routine and may be approved by a single motion. However, any consent item may be moved to the business portion of the agenda for discussion at the request of any city council member.
Mayor and Council, consent agenda consists of item number 10 through 26. The recommendation is for approval.
Thank you very much. Council, any comments or questions on the approval of the consent agenda? Chair will take a motion.
Move to approve.
Please cast your vote.
Mayor and Council, first item of business, business impact statement regarding ordinance number 2682, which amends Title 15, Section 15.72.230, building permit fees and plan review fees of the North Las Vegas Municipal Code to provide for an additional fee to all pool or spa permits for possible action.
Thank you. I've asked Mr. Blackburn to weigh in on the discussion of this real quick. There's been an incident that happened recently.
Yes, Mayor and Council. Item number 27 is the business impact statement for a drowning prevention fee. Last City Council, we announced that this fee is a $25 fee that we propose to add to all swimming pool and spa permits. We've had support from industry on this fee. We celebrated a milestone last 2 weeks ago that we've made it this far in the year without any child drowning fatalities. Unfortunately, since then, we've had one. This is one of the areas where one is one way too many. Again, it's a success making it this far in the year. It's history that we've made, this large of success. The incidence of drowning is 50%. The drowning is the occurrence of a child going underwater and losing consciousness. Just as you think of a traffic accident, when the vehicles collide, if that's an accident, there may or may not be a fatality. So again, our incidence of child drowning is reduced considerably, and unfortunately, that we've had our first fatality. And again, unfortunately, it's in our community, and our hearts and sympathies and prayers go out to those families that are involved.
Thank you, Mr. Blackburn. Council, any comments or questions on this item? Not, the chair will take a motion.
Move to approve.
Please cast your vote.
Item number 28, business impact statement regarding ordinance number 2683, which amends ordinance numbers 1747 and 2602, Title 5, Sections 5.02.040, semi-annual licenses, 5.02.100, schedule of other license fees and businesses, and 5.02.110 through 5.02.310, A through W license fees of the North Las Vegas Municipal Code, providing for the issuance of annual business license fees. Associated item number 29, business impact statement, real estate professionals, for possible action.
Thank you. Mr. Blackburn, once again.
Mayor, two parts on this. The first part with this business impact statement transitioning from semi-annual licenses to annual license fees. This is a best practice that came out of the shared services exercise. Most businesses are used to setting a license fee on an annual basis, and they weren't aware that ours expired on a semi-annual basis. So this is a definitely customer service enhancement that Mr. Mradkin from the Chamber of Commerce spoke about earlier. The second item is the real estate professionals. We are in approximately 2005, with the NRS change, we stopped licensing professionals, including real estate professionals. So we're proposing to enact that, or the old ordinance, to be able to require licensing for real estate professionals. I've met with the real estate group over the last 4 or 5 months with the Chamber of Commerce to look at reasonable fees and to clarify some language. And again, this is not the final action, but in 2 weeks I'll be proposing some minor modifications in conjunction with communications from GLVR to add some clarity on the licensing to make sure we don't double impact real estate professionals, real estate agents, and property managers.
Thank you very much. So on item 28, council, any comments or questions on this item? Seeing none, the chair will take a motion.
Move to approve.
Please cast your vote. Item 29, Mr. Blackburn, you've already gave your presentation on that, but I do see that the leadership of the realtors is in the audience. Did you want to mention something, or are you satisfied with everything we're doing? Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Mayor, for the record, I need to read the item in and a vote must be taken. Business impact statement regarding ordinance number 2683, which amends ordinance numbers 1747 and 2602, Title 5, Sections 5.02.040, semi-annual licenses, 5.02.100, schedule of other license fees and businesses, and 5.02.110 through 5.02.310 A through W license fees for the North Las Vegas Municipal Code to align the city with other jurisdictions by assessing license fees to all real estate professionals. Associated item number 28, business impact statement, semi-annual licenses for possible action.
Thank you very much. Council, any comments or questions on this item?
One question.
One question, Councilman Wagner?
Greg, there was some concern from the realtors that property managers may be treated differently under this. Do we have any intention of carving them out of this since they all work under the same licenses, state license?
Through the mayor and councilman, we definitely have had discussions with GLVAR on this issue. A few years ago, when we adopted the foreclosure registration ordinance, in conjunction with GLVAR, we required licensing for property managers. That way banks would have to license with property managers. So we created that a couple years ago. Today, with this ordinance, we are not modifying the property managers. What we want to do in 2 weeks is add clarification so that if a real estate agent also holds a certificate as a property manager, they only need one license. So I think that was some clarity we'll bring in next week, in 2 weeks.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council, any other questions or comments? Chair will take a motion. Please cast your vote.
Professional services agreement with Gilbert Gady and Associates of Nevada, MD, LTD, DBA ARC Health and Wellness Centers, LLC, in an amount not to exceed $260,000, $85,000 from the Fire Department General Fund, $50,000 from the Police Department Public Safety Tax Fund, and $125,000 from the Police Department General Fund, using the competitive bidding exception per NRS 332, Local Government Purchasing Act, for the provision of the heart and lung physical examinations for police officers, correctional officers, and firefighters for possible action.
Thank you very much. Council, any comments or questions on this item? Not, the chair will take a motion.
Move for approval.
Please cast your vote.
Group life and accidental death and dismemberment insurance coverage proposal by Unum Insurance Company of America in the amount of $35,400 annually for all active full-time employees and retirees, effective October 1, 2014, and authorization to the city manager to execute a contract with Unum Insurance Company of America in a form approved by the city attorney's office for possible action.
Great, thank you. We have Mr. Jeffrey Sauls and Mark Sauls from Aspen Insurance Services are going to present a PowerPoint presentation on this item. And if we have any concerns or questions, Director Adair is standing by to answer those questions. Mr. Sauls.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I am Jeffrey Sauls, and I work at 3230 South Valley View. But previously, the city of North Las Vegas asked Aspen Insurance to look at their life insurance policy contract. After reviewing that contract and reaching out to the market, we reached out to about 14 different carriers. We found that Unum would be the best product to serve the city of North Las Vegas. Now, Unum is a very stable company. They are rated with at least an A with 4 rating agencies. That is your AM Best, your Fitch, your Moody's, and your S&P. What the Unum also values is they value stability, integrity, and strength. Some little facts about Unum is they serve 42% of the Fortune 100 companies. They serve over 80,000 employees and protect more than 17 million people. And in year 2013, they paid out $6.2 billion in benefits to their groups or employees that they had with them. So the reason we decided upon Unum, other than the monetary reason, but we'll start with the monetary. So currently for the contract with Aetna from 2013 to 2014 with Aetna, the annual premium is roughly about $76,000 that the city of North Las Vegas has to pay for their employees. At the renewal, which was the contract from 2013 to 2014, it went to $105,000. By switching to Unum, we were able to decrease this policy year contract for 2014 and 2015 to $35,000. Now, how we were able to achieve this amount was by decreasing the amount per 1,000 per employee, so what that rate factor is. Currently, that rate factor with Aetna is about 30 cents per $1,000 of a death benefit. With Unum, we were able to reduce it to 12.5 cents per $1,000 of a death benefit. So if you look at the whole thing, it's about a 66% decrease on the annual premium that the city of North Las Vegas will have to pay for this life insurance benefit on their employees. Now, other than the monetary reason, we have some other added services that are going to be built in with this Unum contract. It is a guaranteed issue policy with no medical questions asked. It will also be a 3-year rate guarantee. So we don't have to deal with this next year and the year after that there yet. We will have this guaranteed with these rates for 3 years. We are able to match our current benefits, so if an employee had $20,000 or whatever their death benefit amount, that was mapped over and matched to the exact same amount. Another added feature, which was enhanced, was a portability feature that was not currently on the Aetna contract. What that portability feature allows is it allows employees, whether they lose their employment, have a reduction in hours, retire, are able to port over their own individual policy with Unum, and they will get it at the same group rate that the city of North Las Vegas is receiving. So they will get it at that 12.5 cents per $1,000 benefit, and then whatever their current amount of death benefit is. They won't be able to increase it, but it will be a guaranteed issue of what they're current with as an employee. Another added benefit, it's a little different than the Aetna contract, is the accelerated death benefit. With the accelerated death benefit, it was very specific on what would trigger it. It actually defined certain illnesses that would then only trigger this accelerated death benefit. For the Unum contract, the definition reads, it will pay a portion to the insured employee or dependent's life benefit in the event the insured employee or dependent becomes terminally ill and the employer dependent's life expectancy has been reduced to less than 12 months. So we were able to broaden the actual definition by not naming illnesses, but actually saying if you're diagnosed as being terminally ill and your life expectancy is less than 12 months. So we're able to actually broaden how this accelerated death benefit could be triggered. Another enhanced benefit was the age reduction schedule. Currently under the Aetna contract, it had a 3-step age reduction. When an employee or retiree would reach the age of 70, their death benefit that they had would reduce by 35%. At age 75, it would reduce by 50%. And at age 80, it would reduce by 65%. This Unum contract will only have 2 steps. They will have a step at age 70, which will be the same as 35% as the Aetna, and then a 75, and at age 75 by 50%, which is also the same to the Aetna contract, but there will not be a 3rd step into what the reduction will be on their life benefit. Other than those enhancements, we have some value-added services that have also be with this product. What they offer is an Employee Assistance Program, also known as EAP. This is to help employees with everyday needs and serious issues that they might encounter throughout their life. And what it does is it gives them a full suite of services which can help them with parenting and child care, health and worksite issues, personal management, financial and legal issues, emotional well-being, addiction recovery, and claim support. Another added service is the Worldwide Emergency Travel Assistance Program. This is for when employees and family members are traveling either outside of the country or more than 100 miles away from their home. They can tap into this service, which then helps them with hospital admission. And if an emergency arises, they leave a prescription at home, their insulin, they can call this number and that will help them with getting that prescription filled or whatever is needed to get them to receive that. It also will help with care and transport of unattended minor children, medical referrals to a physician who can speak English, and help with emergency medical evacuation if necessary. The last and final part of the enhancement that is given in this Unum contract is their life planning, financial, and legal resources. How this works is, this is usually a difficult time for employees and beneficiaries to deal with the event of a loved one being lost. And sometimes when they get that life benefit insurance or that life benefit check for the amount of insurance they had. They don't know what to do with it. So what happens is Unum, once they receive the claim, they then notify someone in their program. That person then contacts the employee or beneficiary by telephone. They then are walk through and discuss with them a personalized financial plan to what to do with that money, and that plan and that help that is given, that guidance, is actually for free, and the person giving the guidance doesn't get any commission by selling anything or by saying, hey, you should do this. They aren't ran by commission. Then on top of that, there's a 12 months where they can call and ask questions about the guidance that they receive from this financial person. So the city of North Las Vegas, there are a couple reasons why they should switch to Unum for this policy year contract. Other than the monetary reasons of reducing the annual premium by 66%, it has a portability feature that the employees can have access to when they leave the city of North Las Vegas. We've added the employee assistance program, the travel assistance program, and a lock-in feature where we will have this rate for 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, any questions?
Yes, sir.
I have some after you. Okay.
I appreciate the presentation you've given here, but it seems to be overlooking a major component that I've been receiving comments on from our retired employees. Can you go back to the page where it talks about the employee rate per 1,000?
Employee rate per 1,000.
Right there. Okay, so the employee rate per $1,000 decreased.
Yes.
At Aetna, it was 30 cents, and at Unum, it's going to be 12.5 cents.
Yes.
But you don't mention that that's not true for the retirees. Although the rate charged to retirees, it has actually increased from 20 cents to 88 cents per $1,000 of coverage.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of monthly increase are they looking at? What does that work out to be?
So if it was 20 cents per 1,000, it's an 88% or 88 cents increase. You're looking at a 68 cents increase per $1,000. I don't know what the math computes to, but that's what it would be per $1,000 of death benefit.
So I mean, I'm being told by one party that it's like $3.50 a month increase, which is not a whole bunch. And now I'm being told that it's actually 68 cents per $1,000. So if you have a $10,000 or $20,000 policy at 68 cents per $1,000, you're not looking at any $3.50 increase.
Mayor, through you, may I answer the question for Councilwoman Wood?
Please.
So the $3.50 that you're referring to in the communication that occurred internally in our organization has to do with an example that talks about the increase that Aetna was proposing by 35%. The example was $10 times 35 cents is $3.50. I don't believe that has any real bearing in this particular analysis that we're doing here. However, there is some valuable information which we can share with you. So if an individual goes out and tries to, a retiree goes out and tries to get insurance, and this is taking, you have to make an assumption about their health condition and their age and so forth, naturally. But let's just take an example of a person who's 70 years old and goes out and tries to get insurance on their own after they've retired from the city. It's going to cost them about $3.36 per $1,000 to get coverage.
Yes,
So
which is
if-
why they're working on staying with the city so they don't have to start over at the higher rate.
Now, that's if they went out as an individual. The city offers as a courtesy to these retirees, as allows them to group them all together, and the city is able to accomplish 88 cents per $1,000. That's a quarter, that's a fraction of what they would get on their own. That's a benefit, and that's something that we like to offer to our retirees. Now, in the past, as you've pointed out, Councilwoman, the city has subsidized the retirees' insurance benefit in this particular case by blending their claim history and rates in with the rest of the active employees of the city. Now that has a detrimental impact to all of the entire group. What you've done is you've packaged people with different claim history in with the larger group, and that causes the cost for the entire group to go up. When you separate those into active and inactive, you're able to address coverage for both of them. And that's one of the things that Mr. Sauls here has presented to the council, the additional benefits that come from bifurcating those two groups. So
I certainly understand that, Darren, but at the same time, if I, as a former employee, were paying 20 cents and I'm now going to be paying 88 cents, it doesn't feel like you did me a favor. It feels like that's one heck of an increase. And I
You're
can't
right.
get anyone to tell me in dollars how much per month that basically
Let's do that
alluding to.
calculation real quickly. So for most of those retirees who are out there, it's a $20,000 death benefit that's provided to them. Not all. There are some that are a higher death benefit. $20,000 times the 61 cents, as Mr. Sauls identified, is going to be about
68 cents.
Okay, 68 cents. I can explain the difference of that. But let's take 68 cents. You're talking about a $14 a month difference. So really, I think that the discussion that we had internally this morning was to put into perspective where this increase is and what the true cost is. Now, on one hand, you would say, why is it a big deal for the city to worry about $14 a month for the retirees? And that's a good question. We have a significant deficit that we have to fill, and this won't fill it. But this is an important thing that we've recommended to the city council to consider. It increases the benefits for the coverage and services and maintains the same cost or lower cost for the city. And it also allows the city, as it moves forward and addresses the insurance coverages and benefits for both the retirees and inactive or active employees, that we can get more appropriate coverage and more competitive pricing and benefits for both of those. So it is our recommendation. I would agree with Mr. Scotch's recommendation and with our advisor's recommendation that this is not only the coverage but also the premium plan that we want to recommend.
Well, you know, when you say $14 a month, it doesn't sound so bad. But when I'm timesing that times 12 months, that starts sounding like more than $140, which would be times 10, and help me out on my math here for times 12. You know, that's $140 plus dollars is a pretty big jump for a year.
It is.
I have some real problems with the fact that I'm getting concerns from my retirees who are sending emails to the council, and I'm being told that, you know, this really needs to happen tonight, but we have either done a very piss poor job of explaining to the retirees why they're getting quite a deal here and why this is so beneficial for them and how little they're paying extra, or they're paying a whole bunch more extra and we're not doing a very good job of explaining it to council tonight. Well, one of two things is happening here, and to be told that we need to solve it tonight, I'm personally not at a point until I get some definitive answers. I'm at a point where I'm willing to vote on this.
Councilwoman, I appreciate those comments, but let me also add some information. We've sent a communication out to all 300 and approximately 20 retirees that are on this plan for the city. We are aware of, at this time, we are aware of 2 complaints. We have about a half a dozen who have elected to cancel the coverage. They don't believe they need it, but did not include a complaint. And we have 1 individual who's called back and actually...
If they canceled it, I think you can take that as a complaint.
Okay. And we've had 1 individual who's contacted the city and shown her appreciation for the increased coverage that she's getting because this policy actually provides more coverage through the step down. So I realize it's not going to make everybody happy, but I think it's important to realize out of 320 people who were communicated to in the latter part of August and who needed to communicate back with the city this week, that so far we've had only 2 complaints out of 320.
Well, I've had the third, and I can tell you the general rule in politics is for every complaint you get, that represents about 100 people. So that means you're looking at about 300 upset people compared to just 3.
Okay. Any other questions? I have a couple questions. On the accidental death, does that doubled?
Yes. So previously under the current Aetna contract, it didn't have that provision as strong where in the event that an employee died accidentally, they just got the life benefit that was in the contract. With this, they get the accidental and the life benefit. So say the death benefit is $20,000 that an employee has. It's an accident death, they would receive $40,000, whereas previously it was $20,000.
Thank you. Also, this is a 3-year term.
It's a 3-year rate guarantee. So we got this, so 2014, 15, 16, 17.
Yeah, and because there's no medical, there's no incontestability period or anything like that, everybody
Yeah, it'll be
gets on as
guaranteed.
a
issue. We were able to match everything that a current employee has, and even as you hire on new employees, they will have the same guaranteed issue.
Okay. This is a question to anybody that can answer it. Did we make a deal with retire life insurance when they leave here? What is the process of when somebody retires here? Do they have an option to take the insurance with them? Well, it's not guaranteed. We didn't promise them anything. It's just whatever we get, you're welcome to be on it because you did work for the city, right? So there's been no guarantee to those people that we even keep death benefit.
Right. There's nothing in any contract that requires for us to maintain a certain level of insurance at a certain monetary amount. No, they're always given the option, though, to be a part of the city's group plan going forward.
And that is a standard that most jurisdictions offer, is it?
But I think what I'm trying to say is that, and I want you to debate me on this, that there was never a guarantee that they would have insurance, just in case their health became such, they would be able to be on this group policy where they would have nothing if we didn't offer that to them. Correct? That's all I'm saying. We have, any other questions? Because I'm going to open this up for public. Oh.
Well, actually, I was wondering if I don't know if he's allowed to come up, but it is a public thing. I was wondering if the fellow who contacted him, Mr. Garcia, is actually in the audience.
What was the name?
Mr. Garcia, I believe.
I have a Mr. Garcia here, Mario Garcia.
That must be him, Mr. Mario Garcia.
If that would be all right, gentlemen, if you'd step to the side for a minute, I have somebody who would like to speak on this item, Mr. Mario Garcia. Oh, I have a second person that will follow, and that name would be Paul Gillenwater.
Thank you, Mayor.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for this opportunity to speak on this item. I'm a recent retiree of the city after 14 years of service. I'm very thankful for the opportunity to have served the citizens. I would disagree with the wording that language that Mr. Adair used. With all due respect, I understand what you mean by a courtesy to employees, since there is not a written legal binding contract for this particular benefit to retirees, but I believe it was earned. And I believe most employees feel that way, that this is a benefit that they've earned. And when you start looking into your retirement, you look at a lot of things, obviously, your PERS, any Social Security that you might be entitled to, those sorts of things. You start looking at your situation, and you obviously may do some planning even way before that. But typically in the last few months before you retire, you're getting all the details of these things. And I personally have I'm in the appointed confidential class of employees, and I think that's the class that's probably being impacted more detrimentally than the others, because I believe Teamsters are essentially, Teamsters, police, and fire are not impacted at all by this. They've always had, I believe, the 20,000, or at least for a very, very long time. That's been the benefit, and I believe it is by contract, if I'm not mistaken. So there certainly is a contract to provide this benefit to them. When they retire as well, I believe it's written into the contract. I'm not 100% sure, but that's my understanding. Since I'm not in the Teamsters, I haven't ever researched that. But I can tell you that I believe this is a apples to oranges comparison that you've been presented with here. The increase that Aetna was proposing, certainly it is significant. It's an increase of about $28,000 to $29,000 from the 76,236 to the 105. That translates to an increase of 37.7%. However, I'm assuming that would maintain those, for appointed confidential employees at least, maintain the 1 times annual salary benefit for life insurance, which I'd be willing to bet for the appointed confidential employees of the city that are retired is an amount that would have to be pushing close to 6 figures. It would probably, my best guess would be somewhere around 90. I have no statistics. Maybe the Human Resources Department of the city does, but I think that's a pretty good ballpark figure. and possibly even higher, because appointed confidential class employees are typically some of the better paid employees of the city. So they're looking at a very significant decrease to that life insurance death benefit. And with a 340%, to answer your question, Council Member Wood, of what that translated to, going from 20 cents to 88 cents per $1,000. But the issue is an employee now is going to only have 40,000 instead of the 80 or 90 or 110,000 that they currently have. So it is not an apples to apples comparison. You're looking at a savings. If you, I don't think what was proposed, like I said, is directly comparative to what Aetna currently has. In other words, the city should have obtained some proposals saying, here's what we offer that is exactly like Aetna, so you could see what truly you're saving. You're saving, about $70,000, but your benefits are being reduced. And there are some discrepancies here. I don't know if they're important or not. On the agenda item, it indicates that coverage for elected and department director class of employees remains at 1% times their annual salary while they're employed, but it will decrease to $40,000 at retirement. On the paperwork that was attached to the agenda item that is Unum's proposal, it's page 2, it says that class 2 and 6, which are directors that are active and directors that are retired, that they will receive 1 times the annual earnings, rounded to the nearest thousand. So is it that they're going to be reduced to 40,000 when they retire, elected and directors, or are they going to be, as it says here in Unum, keep the 1 times annual salary when they retire? Because class 6 is retired directors, so I think there's a discrepancy here that hopefully will be addressed by the representatives that are here tonight.
Thank you. You bring up some interesting questions, and maybe I'll step on a limb here for a minute. First off, I don't think city council members should have life insurance. I'm just letting you know that right now. We're here part-time. Full-time, we work at it, but, I honestly don't believe we need life insurance. So you bring up that point, but that's just the way it's been. But there is options for you. The city had a plan. When you were here, they worked, they lived up to their bargain. And now you've retired. You don't have to take this benefit. You can get an annual renewable term on your own, save yourself a lot of money. If you're unhealthy, this is an option that allows you to continue to have a death benefit, but you're not tied to this. You look like a very healthy man. I can't tell that for sure, of course, you know what I mean? But you don't have to take this benefit. Just get an annual renewable term. That'll be a lot cheaper.
I understand that, Mayor.
But if you are here, and 3 years from now, I guess we bring this up for, recommendation again. Maybe we didn't do a good enough job, you know what I mean, of discussing this, but I know they've been working on it for quite a while. But, if when people retire out of our businesses, if we're business owners here, they get COBRA, they get an opportunity to get on for it, and then pretty much they're on their own. I don't think the city has any more obligation than any other business has to its former employees. Though we respect and honor our employees, we also have to continue to make the best decisions for the current employees that are here too. And I know.
I understand that.
Would you like to say something? Okay. But I'm just discussing, I understand your point, and I'm not reducing it at all. I'm just looking at in totality, here. Thank you, Mr. Garcia.
Thank you.
Paul?
My name is Paul Gillenwater. Mr. Mayor, Council, appreciate the time given here. As a recent retiree, appointed at the time, I was concerned about the decrease which is proposed for the, I would consider overall minimal savings. This will reflect about a drop of about 2/3 of my insurance and double my cost. Would I pay an additional 37%? Yeah, probably. But confidential appointed people don't have a voice. The unions have got everybody else covered. They do get more pay. That is a compensation but part of that is also compensation for the active ones, which is now dropping to 40,000 instead of one time their annual, from what I understand. And that reflects, in my mind, a certain monetary loss to them and to their families. And for us retirees, I hear what you're saying, Mr. Mayor. Absolutely understand. But when you walk out the door, granted there's no written contract, but it was a deal, it was proposed, accepted, moved on. It's almost like, it's not quite the same, but it's like PERS saying, well, you get this much, but things have changed now, so we're going to have to change things. And so with the very limited time to comment that we were noticed for this, I think you would probably find more people up here. I do understand the significance of the monetary position of the city and the desire to save money and keep going and growing again. However, when I look at the difference based on the millions that have been kicked around the last several months, I would encourage you to invalidate or cancel this contract. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. I just feel like I'm compelled to say a couple of things that during my own, you're welcome to respond, Paul. When people insure themselves, the city, in a lot of cases, is not the primary death benefit. You know what I mean? People get life insurance on their own, and then they get the death benefit here. And I'm concerned that people are thinking that if they work for the city, that the rest of their life they'll have a death benefit obligation given to them, where I believe as you have a large family, you have more insurance. As you get more cash, you start reducing your cash. I think when retirement comes around, you grab all the free life insurance you can. But I also believe some people want mortgage insurance. You know, some people, there's other options for people to get insurance. Maybe I will assess your discussion about maybe the word didn't go out well enough. But I also believe that this shouldn't be your primary, you know, you should plan financial planning a little bit better. But some people don't. Some people don't understand it, and I agree with that. I'm concerned that that very few people responded back on the 300 if they had a problem, Mr. Adair. You know what I mean? She says 3 people equal 100. I know that when we have a zoning issue, people, they come, you know, and if only 3 people wrote a letter and it's not a defined benefit, yet we're still keeping them in the system, I don't feel so bad about that. But you go ahead. I mean, we're great friends. I just want to hear your thoughts.
Well, I think it's something that is typically offered by the employees in the public sector. I do think that it's a longstanding commitment that's been made to the employees. I appreciate the efforts that have been made to find us a better policy, and I think that in many ways this policy does that. But in a large part, it is doing so at the detriment of our retirees, whether that was intentional or just kind of happened that way. I just think we need to continue to negotiate with Unum to see if we can't come up with something a little better for our retirees. And I just don't like the way it was presented to council. If you're going to raise rates, then raise rates and let me know that. Tell me what it's going to be, and you know, and if we're going to get a decrease, then tell me what it is. But don't sit here and try to tell me that it was this $3.50 a month, which sounds like nothing. Yeah, instead of per thousand, and 68 cents per thousand, and now you're looking at a number that's, you know, pretty significant to most people's budgets. I do want to make sure that in the future that these items are presented to council better, and to see if we can perhaps do a little better by our former employees. We've had a real rough time, and we've lost a lot of damn good people over the past 5 years that I've been in office. And maybe we haven't been able to take care of our employees in the past as well as we should have. we didn't have the money and we didn't have the options. But today we are starting to recover, and if there's an option out there that allows us to maintain similar coverage for our retirees, then I think we owe them to at least look into it.
I'd respond, but Councilman.
I just want to say that I agree with the mayor 100% on this. We are looking, I think we're going to have a presentation here on fleet a little later tonight. Are we doing that?
We moved it.
Oh, we pulled that, okay. But we've had employees, just because they were here and because of the generosity of the city, that have given cars to people to drive. Not part of their contract, not part of their benefits. We've just given them things to do, or to drive. And so by taking cars away, and which we've been reducing and things going like that, that's not part of the contract that we've had with them. We've had tough times. I don't think anybody's financial situation in this city, any private citizens, is any worse than the city itself right now. We are not in recovery. We are on the table with our heart barely beating. Right now, we have, Director Adair, what's our, I mean, we know that this is a small amount, but our 7-year forecast, we're looking at $100 million? $75 million deficit right now, and every little penny we can save, this is what we're trying to do, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so 75 million, so I understand that it's kind of a bummer, to have it, something taken, but if it's not the city was just being generous and giving this out in the first place. And I agree. I just agree. The mayor stated his the facts very, very eloquently, and I agree 100%. Thanks.
Well, it is an emotional issue too. I understand that side of it, Councilman.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I should actually be looking at my own retirement in the future. It seems to me like it seems like it's something that's so far away that I'll get to it when I get there, right? If the Lord actually sees for it fit to me to make it there. When I first heard about this, I'll be honest, I didn't know much about it. I don't know if it's a standard practice in our sister municipalities to offer these. I don't know if I get that over the school district. I mean, that being an extended death benefit. And quite honestly, that's something that I guess again, that doesn't resonate with me so much because I'll be dead and I'm not going to see it anyhow, right? But I'm not trying to be glib about this, but I wasn't even all that aware that this benefit even existed in the first place. What was explained to me was that I guess how it all came out was we've actually had a couple of claims that have come up recently. And so Aetna, doing their due diligence to their company, went ahead and audited the whole program. That's when they found out that we should have been paying more years ago. And that's how they wound up, I guess, upgrading their rates on this. In the end, again, it was very perplexing to me. I really would like to know more. I'd like to find out what is it that our other municipalities do. On one hand, again, I know that we've lost about half of our employees that used to be with us. I do know that we have many of our employee groups actually went to bat for us and accepted a lot less to help balance out the sheets here, so we have a city to go on. We've asked them to give. We've asked them to give, and they have done. And we actually have some current employees here who were very much in favor of having us of giving something that by rights and contract they signed on to, and that now at the same time we're looking at cutting something that is going to be a de facto benefit when upon when maybe someone will retire. I'd like to know a little bit more about it, and again, that's one of the areas where I'm not too. I mean, I can read a balance sheet, and I can understand that every dollar that we can possibly save, and we've done a very good job doing that, is very important. At the same time, if we have some former employees who feel like we're balancing it on their backs, perhaps Mr. Adair, is there any financial danger if this is postponed for like a couple of weeks or like say a month? What is the what is the direct danger, or what is the effect if we have to postpone this for a couple of weeks to discuss it some more?
Councilman, the answer to your question is that we're currently being forced to pay the higher premium, the increased rate with Aetna. So unless we act on it, we will be paying a difference that we otherwise wouldn't need to, and that's approximately about $9,000 a month. So it has a cost. If we want to deliberate on it, there's $9,000 that's going to go out the window, and without the added benefits that are being provided to the active members of the city. You also asked a number of questions. I'm not sure if I can remember all of those, but you asked a question about what are the other municipalities doing. And I don't know that I can give you an analysis right here of saying exactly what they're doing, but I believe you are right in that other municipalities do extend, when possible, when they can group together and provide under their name and in their umbrella and their buying power, they're able to provide some sort of a benefit without it being a cost to the city. They offer it. Why not? Why wouldn't you to anybody that's worked with the city? And we do, and I'm sure other municipalities do. So, and in the private sector, not that common. I think the mayor hit it right on the nose, what most of them do. But in the public sector, it is a little more common with agencies and so forth. But the question that I think you're asking is, to what extent does the city want to subsidize these benefits for the retirees? To the extent that you want to or feel that we have the money to do so, then you could actually pay for it all. I mean, you could give everybody 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, whatever you wanted, however much you want to spend. But at this point, what we're doing is, what we put on the table is an opportunity to make sure we improve the benefits for the active employees, reduce the costs, and then also provide at no cost to the city an option for the retirees that gets them a reduced rate over going out individually. That's a fraction, 25% of what they would, on the average, incur if they went out individually to get their coverages. Now, I think that the gentleman that was up here speaking pointed out something that was very important. We're having a lot of discussion here about what's being borne on the backs of the retirees. Actually, the observation he made was that in his particular situation, he has two situations. He was a confidential unappointed position, and he was a retiree, or is a retiree. Where the concern may be, which we haven't heard a whole lot of discussion, but was in his comment, was there's being a sacrifice made here by the confidential and appointed employees of the city. So I think that if there was to be any attention here, the confidential and appointed, which are not a represented group, which have given a lot, which are not the highest paid necessarily employees in the city anymore, in this particular situation, again, we are talking about shaving a little bit of a benefit off of our existing confidential and employees. But what we're doing is we're taking them back to a level where they were about 4 years ago, and I'm not sure why we raised it. I'm sure it's a nice thing to do, but we're going back to a level that's customary in the valley, and that's what we're trying to do. Now, so we're not trying to we're trying to get in line, and we're trying to obviously get the city back financially on its feet. And this doesn't make a real big dent in it, but it's a step. And every day, every employee is working very hard to save every $10, $15 they can. We don't mean to hurt anybody by this process. We believe that this is a good decision, and we still recommend this to the council. I'm not sure what additional discussion will get you. We've had a lengthy discussion tonight about all the facts. I mean, we could provide you with some specific examples of what the other municipalities, but I do not believe it will be different than what I've represented.
Mayor,
Thank you.
Council, if I may add 2 comments as well. First of all, I agree with Director Adair that staff has exhausted effort in terms of negotiation. This is the best deal we can find. And also want to mention that the retirees are in a larger pool along with all the retirees from not just the 300, they're actually in a larger pool, so they can benefit the 88 cents versus $3.50 if they go on their own. And second comment I want to make is the impact of this contract is really limited to the point of confidential. Councilman Barone brought up the employees with contract that they've been given. They are not impacted by this item at all.
I guess let me state this in such a way that doesn't seem like I don't understand what I do. When I was elected, I was not elected mayor. I was elected to fix a problem. The city and the residents told me, Paul, go fix that problem. It's going under. You know, it's going bankrupt. It's going down to Maelstrom. And I've surrounded myself with some of the brightest people I could that the city council also has done that. Now, I try to convince everybody here at City Hall that you don't work for a local government, you work for a business. And it's a $500 million business, and we have to make business decisions. But when there is a point that we can do good and generally make life good, I'm all for that. I really am. But if you've retired at the city and we lived up to our obligation, and now the city is just trying to do what it can to keep itself open for the rest of the people in business here, I question if this isn't something we should do for the region. You know what I mean? This is everywhere I can. I'm saving money. I'm as us, our city council, you know. And I see this as a business decision, and I see this also as something that we're not kicking people out of the system. We're at least keeping you in the system where maybe they would have said, we can't afford that anymore, cut them off. I don't think that that's happening here. My general feeling is that if you have a benefit and it is going up, I'm upset that it costs more money for hamburger every day. I understand what's happening to the working people and retired people in this community, but I have to look out for the general well-being of everyone that lives in this city, the 227,000 people, and the 1,200 or 1,100 people that work here at the city. And so my duty is to keep this city afloat. And if we can save 50,000 here and 100,000 here and 90,000 there, then the current residents can put their kids in college. They can do the things and have the dreams that probably, hopefully you have lived for. So I guess maybe we're probably done talking. We've got some people that want to maybe think about it, other people that are pretty, you know, set in their ways. I always like to get a 5-0 vote. In my heart of hearts, I can't understand where this is going to go, but as chair, I'm going to ask to take a motion and just let it go where it goes. And if it fails, we'll go 2 more weeks, or we pay $9,000 or $18,000 more for a period of time, or we pass this and we continue to keep this benefit for the retirees as long as we can. I'm not saying 3 years ago we can even keep it up, Paul. You know what I mean? We might have to just get rid of it altogether. People seem to think that we're coming back. We're not. We're still on the. We just had the paddles taken off us. We still just had our heart started, you know, and we still got all the tubes in us. You know, we're not there financially. And so that's what I keep looking at all the time is what can we do instead of always cut. How can I generate more income out in the city of North Las Vegas? But the income isn't coming that fast right now. I can't get builders to build and developers to develop as fast as I need to get money in here. So I think at this point in time, with all due respect to my lovely friend, that I'm going to ask for a vote, and hopefully 3 years from now, when this comes up, there's a better way of notifying the retirees of what the situation the city's in. And so if anybody would like to make a vote,
I move to approve the insurance coverage proposal by Unum Insurance Company.
Council, this is a time that we can have a discussion on this item. We have a motion on the floor. Any discussion? If not, cast your vote. Motion approved. Thank you very much. And Madam Pro Tem, you did a fine job. You brought up the right issues. I would just recognize in the future that we do a better job, Mr. Adair, whether you did a great job, but maybe we just didn't understand what you were accomplishing. Okay, thank you very much. Item number 33.
Next item would be item number 32, sir.
Oh, 32. Pardon.
Discussion, direction, and/or action regarding the implementation of targeted financial opportunities at Craig Ranch Regional Park, including an entrance fee for the Craig Ranch Skate Park, update on enhanced programs and services at Craig Ranch Regional Park. For possible action.
Director Donner, thank you for being here, Mary Ellen.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mary Ellen Donner. Pleasure to be here, Neighborhood and Leisure Services Director for the City of North Las Vegas. Before you, you have a number of items on a single agenda item, which I am looking to get direction. Okay. The first item is to contract the operation of the 6 tennis courts at Craig Ranch. Currently, I've been working with the Finance Department, and we have drafted a proposal to go out for a request for proposal to have the Craig Ranch Regional Park tennis courts as a concession, basically. So I am actually looking for a contractor to pay the city to run the tennis courts, provide lessons, provide leagues and tournaments, as well as open play. I don't know if you would like to take each of these singly or if you'd like to take them as a group.
Let's take the whole presentation.
Okay. Second on the agenda is a discussion for an entrance fee to Craig Ranch Regional Skate Park. We are looking for direction if the council and mayor are interested in having a daily admission fee and perhaps a 3-month and an annual 12-month pass with a 50% reduction on the passes for income qualified parents or children. The third one would be to contract out the concession stand that's between the 2 ballparks out at Craig Ranch Regional Park. I received a letter from the Nevada Department of Employment, Training and Rehabilitation the end of July, which I believe is included in your packet. And in that, they said that they are not interested in contracting to run the concession stand. So that leaves us available to go out and request for proposal to see if any businesses or individuals in the community would be interested in running that concession stand. Again, a profit to be paid to the city of North Las Vegas. And the fourth one is just a very brief update, if you would like, at the end of the discussion, or I can do it now, of a couple of the events that we've had the last few weekends, a number of events we've got upcoming, and a few policies that we've looked at implementing.
Give me 1 second. Councilman Wagner, 2 months ago, you brought up some issues and discussions of what had happened before some of us were even here. I asked you to take this and run with this. Where are you at?
Yeah, I met with Mary Ellen, and we discussed different things, and I know she's met with council and about these things, and she's on task with what we're, I think, as a council are trying to do here. Now, we may not all agree on the certain things, but I certainly think that with that skate park, I mean, I was aware, I thought when we opened that park that we were going to be charging for that skate park from day one. And so something wasn't communicated correctly or whatever, but I was thinking we were going to do that. So I'm all for that. Concessions, we've missed out on a year of concessions, boy, I think that's a definite moneymaker there. I'd like to see the concession stands open, but boy, we might want food trucks in there too somewhere. It's a huge park. It's a huge park. We might be able to do that. The tennis courts, I'm all for that. I'm for programming anything you can program in there. The skate park especially, and I don't think people would be opposed to paying to enter that skate park as long as we can make it cost effective. I know it would cost money to set something up, and then if we think we can make it pay, but we got a lot of graffiti going on. We have a security guard there anyway all the time, so I don't think it's going to set anybody back to pay. It might cut down a little bit, but we got a lot of graffiti and things going on in there that I'd like to see addressed. And I think by having people pay and having a security guard there all the time, it'll do that. So I think she's right on the right track here, and is looking for direction from us as to where we want to go.
So in your discussions, I haven't heard any dollar figures, or what did you guys come up with?
With regards to the skate park, to retrofit and have a gate that's similar to the community garden where you would use a proxy pass to get in, to make that gated, maybe be around a little less than $20,000. Right now, there is a security guard there from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. So we would be proposing putting one there from when it opens at 8 until 3, so there'd be full coverage. I had heard a lot of request to have security there at all times. That would be in the neighborhood of about $42,000 annually. That would be a recurring cost. The installation of the gate would be a one-time cost. As far as revenue from the tennis courts and or the skate park for admission and the concession stand, the concession stand and the tennis courts, that would be a competitive bid process, so to speak. So it would be the person with the better plan and perhaps the highest amount of money that they would be providing to the city could potentially win the agreement, the contract. As far as the skate park goes, it would depend on what the fee is that we propose. And if you give me guidance to go ahead with that, then I will come back to you and to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board with a fee proposal for a daily entrance, a 3-month entrance, as well as an annual entrance.
Great. Council?
I have a question. I remember we had discussions. I knew about the garden fees and all of the other fees, but I just don't remember, did we ever discuss a fee for the skate park? I just don't remember the conversation in over the last few years. I know conversations about everything else, but did we ever talk about the skate park?
I don't recall us having a major discussion on right here, but with our former parks director, he was just telling me that, yeah, this is what we're going to do. That's what I understood, that we're going to charge for that skate park. And so going into it, when we opened that, I fully expected that we had somebody at the gate taking money the first day we opened that park. So I was very surprised, because that was what I understood Mike Henley was gonna do.
Well, I have to be honest, that was not my understanding. My understanding was that we were going to program the skate park, and as we did the programs, classes, competitions, that we would certainly charge for those. But
I understand that also, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I did not ever understand that we were going to charge for the daily use of the skate park, and I personally have some concern about it. As far as the contract out for the tennis courts, as long as we have tennis courts at other parks that are kind of for open use, then I don't mind if we contract these out and can do so and generate some revenue. I certainly have absolutely no problems contracting out the concession stand. That has in fact been very, very frustrating, and I know City Attorney Sandra Douglas Morgan and I, both of whom have sons playing Cheyenne Little League, and are at the age where they have actually been doing their practice and their games at Cheyenne or at Craig Ranch Park, sitting there at the beginning of May when it was actually wicked cold, and not being able to get a hot chocolate, and being there at at other times when it was very, very hot and not being able to get a cold drink or a hot dog or something. I mean, we would have loved for those concession stands to be opened, and I think they would have made quite a bit of money. And I've been saying for a long time that we need to come up with as many vendors out there as we possibly can. It's a huge park. I think people, particularly at this time of year, there should be snow cones and ice cream and water and whatever drinks you want, and we should make all of that stuff as available as possible. I think it's a win-win. I think it's a revenue generator for the city. I think it provides services for our residents, and they get a great day at the park. So, I think that's a win-win for everyone. But I would rather see us program the skate park with more classes, more competitions, and get revenue from those classes and from competitions than to charge. We don't charge people to go into the park to use it. We don't charge people to use the basketball courts. We don't charge people to use. Why the skate park would be different, I think it's true. If we have a competition at the basketball park, we're going to charge for that too. So I think that's kind of the standard policy that we have set, and I think that's what we should stick with myself.
Councilman Barone.
Yeah, actually, I think it's a very wise thing to contract out that operation as tennis courts. I understand not too many people are using them, so if we get them contracted, maybe we can get some nice people to go out there and have classes out there. I'm not opposed to that. Same thing goes with the concession stand. And I've seen concession stands at schools, go unused only because, you can't find the right people. I am categorically opposed to any fees at the skate park. I've lived here in this community all my life. I think when the Craig Ranch Park opened, I think I told a story at the opening. I remember as a kid driving there on Craig, driving past the ranch and seeing that one line of trees that obscured my view of the ranch, of the Craig Ranch. I thought to myself as a child, that place is not for me. I come from a family of modest means. To this day, I've never stepped foot on a single golf course to play. I didn't grow up with that kind of experience. I didn't have the country club bringing up, okay, the country club sports. I've never played tennis. I don't think I ever missed it. I played basketball. I played football, all right, and played other games that other people probably wouldn't find very nice, okay. But I remember even being in high school, having $8 was my budget for the entire week for lunch. And there's no way that I would actually tell a kid who may not even have that $8 for lunch, and we want to keep them off the street, wouldn't charge you $1 of that just to come in and skate. There's lots of other sports that aren't being played anymore. I would challenge you a lot of people for certain sports, motocross, bicycle sports and all that. Find out how many kids from our neighborhood do that. We'll find that very few. But I bet you a whole bunch of our kids skate. Because I know the local businesses, they're up to here trying to push the kids off their property because they're, that's where the kids go and play. Soccer has always been the game of the masses. All you need is one soccer ball and a couple of garbage cans, and all of a sudden you have a soccer field. Basketball is, again, a sport for the masses. All you need is one basketball and a court, usually provided by a city, and what you get a Michael Jordan, or you get some other kid coming up. I'm categorically opposed to charging them. And I think what the problem is, we have not done the best job, and I'm not blaming anybody, but I think there's other avenues that we really have not explored for keeping that skate park open. It's supposed to be the very best skate park on this side of the country. I'm getting to it, if you allow me to get it to me. Okay, and please don't be rude. I don't bark, I don't stop you, so don't you dare stop me. What I'm getting at very easily is I don't think we've explored all the options that we can. I'm sure that if we get some naming rights for the skate park, that'd pay for the security guard. We have vans. There's vans, there's Monster, there's a whole bunch, Coca-Cola. I'm sure a lot of them would love to have that. We could even build like a sign for them and get them some advertising. Allow them to be the main sponsors for real nice tournaments there. And we haven't explored this. Until those have been explored, I will not be in favor of charging kids just because people, there's graffiti all over the place. Okay, yeah, I know that it's a generational thing too. I think people don't understand. I know because I get to work with these kids every day. And I see, even today, people might say, oh, $30 for a month for a kid is not a big deal. It is for my kids at Rancho High School. I know it certainly is. And could you imagine if you had 3 or 4 kids and we're asking only $30 a month for a quarter or $30 even for a year per kid? Let's get real here. Again, I'm totally opposed for it.
So, Ms. Goins, we haven't heard from you. Do you have something you'd like to offer?
Yeah. I'm just thinking if we choose, and it just takes a whole lot of planning, careful, larger revenue generating events, maybe run them a couple times a year, whether it be at the skate park, whether it's at the basketball, whether it's a festival, something that's going to draw a huge crowd that could generate a lot of money, and again, thousands and thousands of people that could sustain for 6 months, 8 months to a year, and then you just have these festivals or whatever you have annually, and you have a few good programs that you know are going to be reliable that will be around. So I'm just trying to think, would that work?
We actually dipped our toe in the water last weekend with the skate park event we had out there. Ricardo Laguna and City North Las Vegas partnered. It was the first time we tried that particular event. We had about 57 competitors. They were on scooters, they were BMX bikers as well as skateboarders, and we had about 382 spectators. And we had some sponsors and we had some trucks out there. So I haven't got the final tally on that. I know how much we made in revenue. It was only last Saturday, so we're still working on on that particular piece. If the events are large enough, we might be able to make a break even. But then, I've spoken with Councilman Wagner. We have a problem at the skate park because we do not have any seating. We're kind of in a catch-22. We want to grow these events, but yet, specifically in the skate park, we're not able to accommodate spectators because we don't have the necessary types of amenities. We've been working, you mentioned clinics as well as lessons, where we've got some offerings this fall. We'll see how they go. We've heard that people like clinics. We've heard that the skateboarders and BMXers and so forth do not like to take lessons. So we're trying different avenues to attract and get people into the park. That was just one of them. We had a dash and splash the weekend before. There were 500 people. So we're trying to get smaller events in there. We've got the Las Vegas Valley cycle ride, the Century 100 miles. 50 miles and then a 25 mile. My personal favorite would be the virtual rider. I guess somebody's going to have a camera on their head, but that begins and ends at Craig Ranch. We're also co-sponsoring Get Outdoors Nevada Day in October. So we're trying to bring a variety of events, programs, as well as rentals. So we're trying to take these in pieces at a time, and I've got to tell you, the staff out there at Craig Ranch has been phenomenal. They're only 5, but they do a very good job. It's Brett Miller, Brooke, and Arlene, and James, and Maria. They really have been very creative in trying to get this park off, and so we're just looking for direction as to where would you like us to go in the future.
So let me go to the direction thing. First off, you have a tough job. You have to make everybody happy. I know you do your best. I think the direction is coming from the council, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the concessions. You've got 100% move forward on that. Is that correct?
Correct.
There's no vote on this one. We're just
No,
looking, shaking
okay.
our head.
Tennis courts.
What was the other item?
Tennis courts.
Yeah, tennis courts. You've got 100% support on. You've heard the word programs. You're working on programs. Everybody's up here excited about that. I'm working on something right now quietly. It's called Carnival. They do it all over the world. They're thinking about coming here to Las Vegas, and they don't have anywhere to put it, but they think that just called North Las Vegas, and nobody will know the difference. It's a huge event that'll take the whole park over, like Burning Man almost, So we are hopefully bringing in those world-class events. If you, on this skate park, is it possible that when I was out there, I realized why people are trying to charge money? It's not we're trying to get rich off the kids, but there's such a loitering problem out there that kids are walking in and out of there that aren't even skating. And so what you're trying to do is, if you want to skate, because we had adults that would come over and tell me, I won't come here when the kids are here because what goes on inside of those fences comes outside the fence. There's just a ton of loitering. It's a security issue and a maintenance issue.
Partially, yes.
Because you're not really trying to fund the park on the back of the skateboard park, but you need to solve the security problem, the loitering problem. Chief Chronister's here. Chief, would you come down for a second? I know that you have a lot of information on possibly this, and I hate to call you out of the spur, but could you give us an idea what your challenges are? Maybe that would be something we could consider.
Well, I think just off the top of my head, one of the things I can tell you that I believe if you do charge some of the entries and you have an entryway there, you're going to create some problems because you're obviously, you go back east where they have subways and the tokens, you have people that are going to jump them and do things of that nature. So you're going to create some sort of issue, without a doubt. Does that mean that you don't do it? No, absolutely not. Certainly, when you get large groups of people and you don't have adequate places for people to sit and be comfortable, people have a tendency to get a little bit excited and create a little bit of disturbance. We had some this weekend, an individual that we not only had to escort away from there, we had to arrest and take away from there that was creating a lot of problems with the spectators in doing so. But I think as far as the issues with the concessions and the tennis, I don't see those being an issue. But I do. I have to agree with Councilman Barone. I think if you take the skate park, and I realize that could be considered the gym of the park, but I also believe that in and of itself is probably one of the largest benefactors to us as a community of keeping kids busy and out of neighborhoods and creating problems that we truly have.
So if we hired another security guard to stop that in and out of loitering that goes on, of people who don't even bring skateboards or something like that, is that an issue, or was just somebody just trying to tell me it was a big issue? Because I don't know the answer to, do we have a loitering problem over there, a dangerous situation, or we're scaring people off because there's too many kids? And
again, Mayor, I think that's going to be an individual basis. I'm not aware of people being afraid because people are loitering around. Have we had some issues over there with folks that are loitering and kind of picking at or making fun of folks? Absolutely. But those things are going to happen. Some folks are truly going to be not as receptive to large groups of people, and people that maybe skate or do something at a greater level than they. So that's going to create a little bit of competition amongst these folks out there as well. But I think that there are indeed things that can be done. We put another security guard out there, absolutely. I mean, I think this is somewhat fluid at this point in time. You know, we had discussions about Independence Day Jubilee and the number of police officers that were there. I will tell you unequivocally, the police presence at that park prevented a homicide. We know that factually. The young man that committed that crime told our detectives that.
so are you going through the park? Is that part of whoever's up in that command now and then to drive through there? How do you handle the park?
We handle the park in a couple of ways. Number one is, obviously, anytime we're called, we go there and respond to that issue. We try to deploy our bicycle guys in there as often as we can. Keep in mind the limited resources that we have. We have to sometimes maneuver that around double squad days, things of that nature there. It's not maybe as frequently as we would like. But however, when the larger events do come about, we try to ensure that those officers are briefed. They know what's going on, and they try their best to make as many pass-throughs through there as they can in doing so. But that's what we recommend our people. There are a couple of other things that we do. I would just as soon not share them right now in the venue in which we are in, that we do to try to do some deterrence as well.
Councilman Wagner, is your subcommittee.
I realize I'm in the minority here, and I'm a team player, so it sounds like the direction from council is not to charge a daily fee for this park, but to figure out ways. I'm on board with Anita and everyone else, programming, advertising, things like that. I've been approached by business owners. There's a guy that has a skateboard shop across the street that's been wanting to put a sign up, so we need to make sure we take advantage of those things. Also, we did talk about cost, about, because we're going to have these big events, what it would cost to build a stadium seating up over that thing. And she had some very rough costs on that. But that's something we need to look into, because if we really do, we've got a world-class skate park there. So if we're going to program it and use it, then we're going to have to somehow, and maybe we can find some money somewhere, we get some more parks money or whatever it is from SNPLMA or something like that, to build, because it's going to cost a little bit to put up stadium seating, because the only place it can go is up and over, toward the parking lot. So I'm all for that. But she's on the right track, and it'd be nice to see some numbers on some of those things, soon.
Councilwoman?
I've got two questions for Mary Ellen. One is,
Chief.
We were looking at the possibility of billboards, of having a billboard, electronic billboard, at the park, and some revenue that it would generate, that might help us with some of the costs for additional security. I understood it was in the city attorney's office? And is it coming out of the city attorney's office?
Yes, actually, my office and planning are going to work together. We would have to make some ordinance changes in order for that to happen, and so we are working on that.
All right, thank you. And the sooner the better on that one. Not that you guys are, lounging around, I know, but whatever you can, the sooner the better. And Mary Ellen, do you have, can you tell us when this went through the PRAB, what the general direction from our PRAB board was on these three issues?
Well, what I did with PRAB was we had discussion. It was part of a general overview of Craig Ranch Regional Park. And my plan was, depending on what direction you gave me tonight, whatever that is, I will take that back to PRAB. Obviously, we have limited time.
For the
and
record,
staff.
would you mention what PRAB is? So everyone...
Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
Okay.
And the acronym is PRAB. So we did have discussions on all of these, but there was no formal action because obviously with limited time and staff, we wanted to get your direction first before we set off down a road and
Well,
invested.
I can tell you that's kind of backwards because council is really looking for the recommendation from the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. That's why they're an advisory board, because they're the public. And it never hurts to get the idea of what the public is thinking about these things. The five of us who work up here, it's nice and it's safe but that doesn't mean we always know what's going on in the streets. And a lot of times, the people that we put on those boards, we put them because they're out at the park every day, or they have a great interest in activities and physical fitness, and so they're out there. And so a lot of times they bring an insight into those issues and have some recommendations that we don't think about. So usually it goes to them first and then comes to us. And I think it's because we're looking for those extra ideas that maybe one of the five of us didn't think about, that we can go, oh, hey, that's not a bad idea. Maybe we should look at that. So hopefully in the future we'll be able to get some more input from the PRAB members. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. I don't see any other questions for you. I do have one person that would like to speak on this, Gary the Snake Bouchard. He was the first professional skateboarder in North Las Vegas. Gary, would you like to come up? No, right here, Gary.
I don't mind paying a fee to use it. I'm kidding. I don't.
You have to say your name for the record.
I'm too old for that. I gave it up for Lena. Oh, they know my name. Gary Bouchard. I'm sorry. I thought everybody knew me.
All the people in internet land don't.
I keep forgetting we're broadcasting live on the internet. I'm 65 years old, and I can't help but say this. In all the years I've observed what government does, and I've been active in government since I was in high school, we're paying more and more taxes. And we used to have free parks, free zoos, free ice skating in the wintertime, free places to swim. And then over the years, some of those things went away completely. The price keeps going up. And we're paying property taxes. And then when we use something that belongs to the government, we pay again. And what I hate the worst is if you can afford it, if I want to go skateboard, I'll pay $10 a skateboard. I can afford it. But, I think Councilmember Barone, I'm 100% on your side on this issue. You've got kids that are poor. They come from poor families. And when I go past that skateboard place, and I go past it a lot because I live near the park, all I see is a bunch of kids that are now doing something that isn't hurting anyone except themselves, and they're doing it in a lighted area that it made as safe as you can make something as dangerous as that. And man, I would not mess with that. I would look for other ways to raise revenue, and I can't. And I'm telling you right now, Mayor Lee, you are 100% right about this economy. This economy is not coming back, especially in North Las Vegas, because we have bigger problems than Las Vegas. Because all the high-end stuff that is taxed in Clark County isn't here. We don't have the strip to tax. I mean, believe me, I'm not an expert in government, but you know, it's just common sense. We don't have the tax base that they have on the strip, and we're not the strip. We're never going to be the strip. And we're going to have to continually go to the private sector and put pressure on them to do something I think is only right, and that is for some of these big corporations. My favorite corporation of all, Cox Communications, which is highly profitable. They should be giving us money, you know, to help the community. They make a fantastic amount of money off the community. They need to give some of it back. All these big corporations need to help out. And I believe you could sell a lot of advertising at that skate park. So, I mean, there's other ways I think we could raise revenue. So, you know, let's keep the kids off the street. That's mainly what I'm concerned about.
Thank you very much, Snake Man. So Councilman Wagner, I think the direction is for Mary Ellen is to try to figure out ways that we can raise money to give the security and all that kind of stuff, and you could bring this back. Yeah, that's just what's going on right now, and so I guess, Mary Ellen, that's your direction. Everything was a go except the skateboard. Council, we are going to move on to the next.
Before we do, Mayor, can we just ask for Mary Ellen to, not right now, mind you, but to give, because you just said you had your first skating event. So in about a week or so, once you know how much the profit was, and we can kind of see what the profit was for future events, can you kind of give us, council, an update of how well it was attended and all the basic?
Absolutely, I can put that in next week's report.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You're doing a fine job for us. Madam Clerk.
Next item of business, item number 33, interlocal contract with Clark County, Nevada to grant $1,750,765 in community development block grant funds to the City of North Las Vegas for program services for fiscal year 2014-2015 for possible action.
Thank you. Council, any comments or questions on this item? Seeing none, the chair will take a motion.
Move to approve.
Oh, he's showing up here. You did show up. Okay.
Next item, item number 35, deed of dedication for Bruce Street, Clark County Assessor's parcel number 139-23-812-020, generally located at the southeast corner of Bruce Street and Webb Avenue for possible action.
Okay, Council, any comments or questions on this item? Chair will take a motion.
Move to approve.
Please cast your vote. You're coming in. Passes.
Interlocal contract with the Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada in the amount of $12,081 funded by the Regional Transportation Commission Question 10 funds for off-street shared use path maintenance fiscal year 2015 for possible action.
Great. Council, any comments or questions on this item? If not, Chair will take a motion. Please cast your vote.
Can you? Okay.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You're right. Yeah.
Interlocal contract with Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada for entity non-project specific expenses fiscal year 2014-2015 in an amount not to exceed $25,000 from July 1, 2014 through June 30, 2015 for possible action.
Council, any comments or questions on this item? Chair will take a motion.
Move to approve.
Please cast your vote.
Interlocal contract with Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada in a total amount of $50,000 over a 5-year period, funded by the Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada Index Fuel Revenue Fund for reimbursement of certified payroll software licensing fees for possible action.
Thank you. Council, any comments or questions on this item? If not, Chair will take a motion.
Move to approve.
Please cast your vote.
Bid number 1434, and construction contract with Meadow Valley Contractors, Inc. in the total amount of $6,623,000. $4,306,600 funded by the Regional Transportation Commission of Southern Nevada Index Fuel Revenue Fund, and $2,316,400 from the Clark County Regional Flood Control District funds for the Centennial Parkway Camino El Dorado to Lamb Boulevard CIP project numbers 10329 and 10374 for possible action.
Hey, Council, any comments or questions on this item? Councilman Barone.
I have a question, if there's anybody here from Meadow Valley to answer.
Would you please state your name for the record?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Christopher Bird, 300 South 4th Street, Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm here representing Meadow Valley.
Councilman?
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming down. I had a couple of questions. I had some notifications, I think, from some of my constituents and also some of my constituent companies regarding, I guess, some of the actions here. Is it true, I was just made aware of this, that Clark County is actually has a warranty claim against their bond filed regarding some action there in Clark County. Is that true?
Councilman Barone, let me have Robert Terrell step down to answer that question because he's working on that.
Okay.
Mr. Terrell, if you state your name for the record.
Yes, my name is Robert Terrell. Currently, I'm Vice President at Meadow Valley and the President of the Nevada area. So I oversee all the work in this area that we do. And we do have an issue on the I-215 project. We installed some bridge apparatuses that Clark County feels like were installed improperly, and we've been in discussions with them about that, and have told them, even as today, that we will take care of that if we will stand behind the work that we did.
It's good to hear that. I take it it's going to be taken care of in a timely fashion.
That'd be correct.
Okay. Well, also, I have a question. Also, as I understand, there's been some complaints filed, also concerning the timeliness of payments on subcontracting work that was performed for Meadow Valley. Is that also true that there have been complaints in the past?
Sure, and let me talk to that, And first of all, I wanted to tell you something that, as I came here tonight and been here a long time, but I want you to know I was honored to be here tonight to see a prayer said and to say the Pledge of Allegiance. That meant something to me tonight, and I really appreciate that you continue to do that. I've listened a lot tonight, too, about, and I'm aware of the situation of North Las Vegas. And it's been a rough path over the last few years. The economy's been hard. And no one's been hit harder in the state of Nevada than the contractors. So yes, we're still in recovery. I could tell you that up until a few months ago, for 8 years, we didn't buy a new pickup. And we've struggled to get through this. And imagine, too, in an area here in southern Nevada where the unions are so popular and so strong, to be a non-union company and try to compete in that environment. Imagine what that's like. It's tough. So yes, we struggle to pay our bills. And one of our vendors said the other day, and I don't know if this was a compliment or not, but he said, one thing about Meadow Valley, and this is someone we worked with for a long time, he said they're a little slow to pay us, but they always pay us. And he meant that as a compliment. We pay our people. And yes, we struggle to do that, much like you guys probably do too. And we've had a lot of cutbacks at our company. A company that once did $150 to $200 million a year, we're only doing 50. So when we bid a project and we're the low bidder and we're not awarded that job, or we have to fight for it, or it takes 6 months to get awarded, it affects our income, and it affects the company greatly. So I hope I answered your question.
Yes. I just you need to understand when I probably have my residents who might be actually working for you, and whether they work directly for your company or for one of your subcontractors. If the subcontractor doesn't get paid, they don't get paid. And we're talking about people who they're not driving, the new trucks either. They have families, and that's my main concern.
Sure.
First and foremost is always going to be my
We,
constituents and my constituent companies. And I think you can understand where I'm coming from on
Sure,
that.
and we pay our subs,
Okay.
and they would tell you that. And they would say, we're a little slow.
Well, in this case, for this bid, I wish you the very best and this opportunity, and I hope you make the very best of it. And I look forward to your extended friendship with our city.
And, we've done a lot of work for the city of North Las Vegas, and I would tell you, you've been one of the owners that we prefer to work with. And just recently, we've completed 3 projects for the city of North Las Vegas, and a great savings to the taxpayer on a lot of the jobs. One of the events that we're pretty excited about is there was a proposal to put a bridge at Lake Mead. It was going to take 6 months to build that bridge, and we put a proposal in to do something a little bit different and do it in 6 weeks, and we actually did it in 4. And that was critical to the city because a lot of people traveled to Lake Mead, and they stop at the vendors along the way. So that was a great accomplishment, and there's others that are out there. And we just asked for an opportunity to do a project with you. I know with the mayor and councilman, and we haven't had that opportunity. You're fairly new. But, people talk, and I'm sure the Public Works Department would tell you we do good work. And once again, they would tell you they have had some complaints, and we're doing our best to take care of that. But I would give you my word, and I'd give you my personal phone number that I will take responsibility for this project. And if there's a
Fantastic.
problem,
Maybe once it's done, you can call me out there, and we'll celebrate. We'll celebrate with a nice cup of tea or something.
just give us a chance to do one for you.
Fantastic. Looking forward.
I think as a contractor myself, the only concern I have is if you're getting new work to pay off older work and you're not catching yourself up,
It's a slow process, is all I tell you. You being a contractor, you would know that.
Yeah,
we put a lot of money back into the company.
Another check that we do have eventually is this is RTC money, and if they don't perform, they'll never get any more RTC work. So there is another hammer.
And there's a lot of work that's going out CMAR, which means you guys get to choose who do your work, and I don't have a problem with that. I prefer that.
Would you mind if I asked Jennifer Duty to come up here real quick, Jennifer? I'm only getting you up here because this is where your expertise, or do you have anything you'd like to say on this?
Not really much more to add. I've talked to Mr. Terrell today, and he was really responsive and quick at giving me information. They've been great partners to work with in past projects in the city, and we're looking forward to doing work with him on this one as well.
Great, that's good.
I would like to add just, again, I know we do have some contractors, some subcontractors in our city, and it'd be nice to see that they also, if they perform well, that they also be given a chance to do work with you. Again, if they're North Las Vegas businesses, I'm all about promoting them. So if you could do us that favor as well, again, I think would be really appreciative.
I will commit to that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jennifer, for validating their statements. Counselor, any more comments or questions to this panel?
Move to approve.
Thank you. Please cast your vote. Welcome on the team, boys.
Thank
See
you
you
very
later.
much.
Bid number 1454, a construction contract with the DeBerti Company in an amount not to exceed $500,000 funded by the Clark County Regional Flood Control District Annual Maintenance Work Program for the 2014 citywide fencing project, CIP project number 10404, for possible action.
Council, any comments or questions this item? Take a motion.
Move to approve.
Please cast your vote.
Move to approve.
Establish a new water rate class of $1.04 per 1,000 gallons for city municipal water accounts based on the cost and availability of water from city-owned and operated water sources, retroactive to July 1, 2014, for possible action.
Great. I have a card here for Mr. Russell Collins, if he's still here. Welcome, Mr. Collins.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I'm Russell Collins, 4551 Solar Eclipse Drive, Las Vegas, Nevada, and I am your Vice Chair of the Utilities Advisory Board. I'm sure you're familiar with the board. It's in place to offer recommendations to the Director of Utilities, who provides you guidance and support concerning all utility and wastewater matters. Recommendations made concerning utility and wastewater matters through meetings and surveys and other public forums, allowing the public to present their inputs into any matters. With regard to this item, I was just made aware of it within the last few days. Last time we had a utility advisory board meeting was back in April. The City of North Las Vegas created this panel of honest broker citizen representation of the customer base to analyze, evaluate, and discuss utility department matters and present recommendations to the Director of Utilities. If matters such as this and other recent significant changes are presented to the Utility Advisory Board after the fact, it relegates the UAB to a role of rubber stamping decisions, and I'm not particularly fond of being in that kind of a position. These incidents suggest the frequency of meeting of 2 times per year is inadequate to address the requirements that are being considered by the utility department under this current schedule. I'm not in favor or opposed to this particular matter because I've had no presentation and no opportunity to really weigh in on the matter and analyze it and dissect it. I believe that it is, as Councilwoman Wood pointed out on an earlier application, it's appropriate for matters such as this to be presented before the appropriate advisory board well in advance of bringing it forward to City Council for action. I appreciate you listening to my comments, and we'll entertain any questions.
Thank you. I think we'll ask staff a couple questions. Dr. Liu, did you have any response to this, or Randy? Thank you, Mr. Duvall.
Okay, Mayor, members of council, this was brought up by Mayor Pro Tem yesterday, questioning the decisions of the Utility Advisory Board. She was advised at the time that we were trying to make this retroactive to July 1st. We had 285 accounts that will have to be manually adjusted, to go back to July 1st. So we were trying to expedite it, and we did not consult with the Utilities Advisory Board. We did agree, and I did yesterday send emails to all 7 members, well, 5 members, plus hand-delivered 2 others that did not have email addresses. And in addition to Mr. Collins, there are 2 other members of the Utilities Advisory Board here tonight. Basically, they were notified that this was on the agenda, and they were given a copy of the agenda item and asked if they had any questions regarding it to give me a call. Yes, we should have gone before the Utility Advisory Board, meeting twice a year like that. We felt that this was just too important to try to make it retroactive to July 1st, which is the beginning of the new fiscal year. That's why we did notify them yesterday, but we did not have an active discussion on it.
Madam Pro Tem?
I can honestly say that I've had the privilege and honor of serving with Mr. Collins on the UAB because he's been on that board for quite some time, and he has been an excellent representative for Sunrise Manor. And just to offer an apology, I don't think there was any intent to overlook the UAB, but I think as we have had changes in various departments and various personnel, we've started rushing a little bit in trying to get things done and kind of forgetting about the boards. And so it's been a recent conversation that the council's been having with the directors to say, well, we need to kind of slow down now a little bit and kind of go back to how things have been and make sure that we are getting that input from the residents that we should be. And so when Mr. Duvall reached out to you yesterday and today, I think it was his way of trying to correct that. And I think moving forward, we won't make that mistake again. So you have our apologies for this. I know because you want to make this retroactive that you would like us to move forward, because what we're really looking at here is trying to save the city some money by giving the city a little bit of a price break
Yes, ma'am.
on some of the water that it purchases for city use on behalf of the residents for golf courses and our police station and parks, all of those. And we have been talking about trying to make this change, I know, for a long, long time.
Mayor Pro Tem, I would like to say the buck stops with me, not in this particular case. It's me that's apologizing, and I do apologize.
And Randy, I appreciate that. Like I said, this has been an issue we've been discussing for a long time, as we've been talking about golf courses and parks, and particularly think with the golf courses and trying to determine a budget for the golf course. It's been rather difficult because they are profitable, but once you take that huge amount of money that you spend watering a golf course, it becomes very difficult to make it profitable, particularly at the rates that we have been charging in the past. And so the city's been looking for a way to kind of deal with this situation for a long time, and didn't take action. And now we're finally getting to the point of moving forward with a recommendation on how we can improve this situation for the city and its residents. And I'm going to put you on the spot, Randy, and say I will support this so long as you can promise me that there will be no additional price increases passed on to the residents based on this change.
Mayor Pro Tem, in looking at our budgets, we feel very, very comfortable that there will be no additional rate increases that would result as a result of this reduction in rate and establishing the municipal water rate. Basically the cost savings is going to come because I believe in our budget, I've been with the department now for 6 months. I believe we're a little bit too conservative in our budgeting. It's fine to have a budget and say we come in $4 million under it every year, but it's not realistic. It's not a zero-based budget. For the most part, our surface water costs were budgeted as if we did not use any groundwater whatsoever. So there's always a surplus there, and this will still not reduce it down to a zero base.
All right, thank you very much.
I have a question on the board itself, though. Does it meet 2 times a year? Does it get a quorum? Can you give me some history of the board?
Mayor, I've only been to one since my first, I started with the department in February, and my first board meeting was April 1st or something like that. Yes, we did have a quorum. We had 5 of the 7 members attend that meeting. At least 2 of the members actually lobbied me to try to get some changes to make it at least quarterly. At the time, and actually until just very, very recently, I wasn't aware that I actually could call special board meetings for cases like this. But I know there is some interest in the board to actually meet at least quarterly.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Collins, you've made your point, and you've got a great champion here, but I think we're going to ask for comments and then see if there's any questions on this item with the council now. Do you have any comments or questions? The chair will take a motion.
Move to approve.
Please cast your vote.
Ordinance introduction only. There is no public comment for these items and no action will be taken by the council at this meeting. If you wish to speak on any of these items, please attend a meeting where the final action will be determined and submit a blue card to the clerk. Ordinance number 2684, an ordinance related to zoning amending an existing PUD and replacing ordinance number 2502, which reclassified approximately 5.23 plus minus acres, ZN 9705, Clayton Park, by allowing up to 43 residential dwellings and an office warehouse mixed-use development for property located at the southwest corner of Clayton Street and Colton Avenue, providing for other matters properly related thereto. Set final action for September 17, 2014. Ordinance number 2688, an ordinance related to zoning amending Section 010 of Chapter 16 of Title 17 of the City of North Las Vegas Municipal Code by reclassifying approximately 25 plus minus acres therein from an R-3 multifamily residential district to an 2 Single Family Medium Density District ZN 0814 Novak 25 for property located at the southeast corner of Centennial Parkway and Novak Street, and providing for other matters properly relating thereto. Associated item number 21, AMP 0614, set final action for September 17th, 2014. Ordinance final action. Ordinance number 2687, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of North Las Vegas to repeal ordinance number 2620, Section 2.08.015 of the North Las Vegas Municipal Code, establishing 4 wards based on current population as determined by the last preceding national census, and providing for other matters properly related thereto. Mayor and Council, I would just like to read in for the record that there was a typographical error under Ward 1. It was should have been 4902, and it is shown on the ordinance as 4092. So we will make that correction, and we are asking that this be passed and adopted as amended.
Thank you very much. Council, is there any comments or questions on this item?
One comment.
Councilman Wagner?
Madam Clerk, this is the same map that was presented by Judge Kessler when he came last time, right?
That is
been no
correct.
additions, no takeaways. This is what we're voting on.
That is correct, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any more discussion? Okay.
Mayor, I'd just like to say one little thing,
Uh-huh.
just real fast. It's going to be a huge honor to actually have, as part of my ward, the very streets that I actually grew up in, that were formerly Councilwoman Goins Brown. It's going to be a huge honor, and it means a lot.
Thank you. I have 2 people who would like to speak on this. I have a Mr. Ken Kraft, and following him, Mr. John Oates.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. For the record, my name is Kenneth Kraft, residing at 3948 Eiderdown Place, North Las Vegas, Nevada 89084. Just wanted to thank the City Council for getting to this. This is long overdue, probably should have been done ahead of the 2013 election. I know how hard it is in a city as diverse as North Las Vegas to create 4 wards with relatively equal populations and abiding by the law. So thank you for your time in addressing this matter.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kraft. Mr. Oates?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. For the record, John Oates. I live at 2732 Magnet Street, North Las Vegas, 89030. Despite seeing examples on TV and in newspapers of disenfranchised voters, I found it difficult to believe it really happened often or affected many people in the year 2014. So naturally, I was shocked when the current redistricting plan was presented at Council in July and noticed the large number of people who were being moved between Ward 1 and Ward 2 for no apparent reason. After attending an informational town hall meeting and learning more about the process of redistricting, I still haven't found a reason for many of the changes that are being proposed. While Judge Kessler may have not been malicious in his intentions, nonetheless, he is depriving thousands of people the right to vote and setting a dangerous precedent in North Las Vegas. I am grateful that modifications are being considered to this original, poorly conceived plan, and optimistic that Council will do what is right and approve a proposal that will meet all the legal requirements without disenfranchising residents. And despite what Ken said, it's actually pretty easy to go and move things around. With Excel and an hour, was able to not change, move people around that didn't need to be moved and still meet all the legal requirements. Especially since this is Freedom Summer, it would be a great disservice to those who fought 50 years ago to see such a huge amount of people disfranchised again at this magnitude. We're all lucky to be living in a city whose elected officials and staff work with residents to inform and educate us as to what is happening and why. I'm sure it would have been easier to make a quick presentation, wait 2 weeks, and then approve a design. So thank you all for taking the time to make sure that this was done right. These checks and balances, while sometimes tedious, are vital when such a glaring error are initially overlooked. I am hopeful tonight this will be a shining example of government and its people coming together to ensure that the system works correctly. So, thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. I fully understand what you're saying. The Voter Rights Act, we had a responsibility to do something after the last census. It didn't happen. I'm not pointing fingers, but it had to take place. I know there are a lot of people who are in different council people's districts now that will no longer have them. They have the opportunity. They elected them, and they'll have a chance to re-elect them. So for that, I'm indeed sorry, and thank heavens it didn't mean I had to move or think about it, you know. But it's been a hard decision on the council. People are going to have to make new friends in new districts, and it could have been done a lot of different ways. This is the way that it was done, and since there's no amendments on this bill, I think the chair will ask if there's any comments or questions at this time. Mayor Pro Tem.
I just want to make it very clear, there was no disenfranchising anyone in this process. There is a process that comes about when we redistrict, and we are required by law, as is every other jurisdiction, to redistrict every 10 years after the census. And whether we had done this back in 2012, or if we did it in 2014, or if we held it off to 2018, this particular situation sometimes happens. As people's wards are changed to different, as people's precincts are changed to different wards, you find that some people get to vote very often, and some people have to wait. It is not only true between wards 1 and 2, it's also true between wards 3 and 4. It is true when the city of Las Vegas and Clark County, when the state, and when the feds redistrict. It happens. This is true for all of those redistrictings. It is not in any means an intent to disenfranchise your voters. It's simply, we are trying to make sure that the population is represented evenly as possible. We are trying to make sure that each vote carries the same weight. In this particular case, we asked Judge Kessler to come out. He did, I believe, a wonderful job in dealing with the Voters' Rights Act. And I think that was a challenging job in North Las Vegas, more so, I think, than in many of our sister jurisdictions, because of the great diversity that we have in our city. But I think he did a great job in doing that. I think he did a great job in making sure that we have complied with all the legalities of that act. And I think he has given us a map that did well the very first time. Council's made no adjustments to it, which I hope goes to show the public that we did this as fairly and honorably as we could without any political ponderings and gerrymanderings and all those things that have been known to go on in the past. And that we're very proud of what Judge Kessler has done and can stand behind it. So we hope that the city will support us in supporting this map with its new redistricting, and that everyone who had to make a change, that you get to know your new council person, because we're looking forward to getting to know all of you. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, we have an amendment on this, so we will have to approve as amended.
Yes.
If any would like to make a motion.
I would move that we approve ordinance number 2687 with the precinct correction as amended by the city clerk.
Any comments or questions? Seeing none, please cast your vote.
Appointments. Appointment by Councilman Barone of a citizen member to the Civil Service Board of Trustees to fill an unexpired term ending June 30, 2017, tabled from August 20th, 2014 for possible action.
Councilman Barone, do you have a nomination?
Yes, actually. I thought I had postponed it to the next meeting, which is going to be a little bit more cool, because the guy that I'm going to nominate is Juan Martinez, and I was kind of hoping to nominate him in conjunction with the opening of Hispanic Heritage Month. So at this time, I'd like to nominate Mr. Juan Martinez to the Civil. Which one is it? Yeah, Civil Service Board of Trustees.
So that would be your motion.
Yes.
Please cast your vote.
Hit the motion button. I think.
Oh, sorry.
Appointment by Councilman Barone of a citizen member to the Citizens Advisory Committee to fill an unexpired term ending June 30, 2017, tabled from August the 20th, 2014, for possible action.
In this case, I do have the person that I'm going to nominate. She actually happens to be in the crowd here. I'm happy to say she's Latina, but I think more than anything, I'm really happy because she's quite young. It's really good to see that we have young residents of our city who are stepping up to the plate and would like to be part of the democratic and the leadership process of our city. In that case, I am nominating Ms. Jessica Padron.
Great, I'll take that as a motion. Please cast your vote.
Appointment of one new member and a chairperson to the North Las Vegas Deferred Compensation Plan Committee for possible action.
Councilman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wood.
Mayor, I would recommend that per staff's recommendation, Tina Geiger be appointed to the North Las Vegas Deferred Compensation Plan Committee, as well as be appointed the new chairperson for that committee.
Great. Well, I think she works in the finance department. She is a member of the city, so she qualifies.
Exactly. This is particular committee oversees all of the deferred compensation plans, and in order to serve on this board, you have to be an employee. You have to participate in one of the compensation plans, which is really one of the retirement plans, and you have to you have to. I know there's representatives from various departments and representing the unions who are also involved in this. So, and usually the chair is the person represented from the finance department. So this is pretty standard.
Great. We have a motion. Please cast your vote.
Thought I hit it.
Thank you very much. City Manager's report.
Mayor and Council will have one item to report tonight. It's by Deputy Director Jennifer Doody to report on some of the recent public works projects, both CIP and private development projects.
Thank you.
Hi, Mayor and Council. City Clerk's office is handing out copies of the map that will be on the overhead. There's 2 copies there. I'm happy to be able to present to you tonight a snapshot of some of the work we've been doing in Public Works, both on the land development side and the CIP side. It'll kind of give you an idea of some of the projects that we have in review and some of the projects that we actually have under construction on both the private and public sides. I'll start my discussion on the land development side, which is the photo that actually has the aerial in the background. It's divided up into residential, commercial, and then we have some of our finished lots inventory on this map. This department or division within Public Works actually reviews, approves, and permits all of the private land development that's done in the city. We do everything from the foundation down, and then from the foundation up, Greg's group takes over the project at that point. So anything that's connecting into water and sewer, anything that's building a street, all comes through our division to kind of take a look at it, to review it, and make sure it meets our code requirements. Currently, some of our projects of note that we have out here as far as residential is concerned, we have a lot going on in El Dorado. There's a total of about 470 lots that are currently in construction right now in 3 different phases of El Dorado development. And there is another phase that you can see in yellow here that is going to be continued as well. So they're really close to actually having the El Dorado development agreement built out. Some other residential developments that we have going on is KB's Homes that are doing some development at Centennial Springs, which is at Revere and Valley, which is finishing off some of our streets at Centennial and Valley. Did I say Revere? Centennial and Valley. We're finishing off a connection, a pretty vital connection of Centennial that's along there as well that will really help with the circulation in that area. Additionally, along the lines of helping out circulation, we had the Las Vegas Athletic Club and the C-Store that went in at Tropical and Decatur that finished up an intersection there that was pretty ugly for a long time for us, and this actually clears up a lot of congestion in that area. Some other commercial developments that we have that have been big, we have a 400,000 square foot expansion of TJ Maxx that's currently under construction. We just approved Southern Tire Mart that's going to be building on 5 acres at Colton and Losi. They're kind of redeveloping a site that's there that's been old and run down for a while. We also have Nicholas and Company that you guys are aware of that they're having their grand opening, I believe, next week, the 16th. So those are some of the big projects that are currently going on the land development side. Additionally, you know, for a long time we had a standing inventory of finished lots, which were lots that basically all the offsites were done, but the houses were never built on them. And so you just had kind of this, it was a little desolate, a little blighted parts of the city that you had half-finished development. 2 years ago, we had a standing inventory of 1,500 vacant lots that hadn't been developed. In the past 2 years, we have reduced that by 57%. We're down to just a little over 670 lots. So we have done a substantial reduction in those finished lots. And of those 670, we have a lot that have, we've got developers that have already come to us as interested in finishing off those subdivisions as well. So do you want me to go on to CIP? Any questions on the land development stuff? It was late, so I'm going to try to make this as fast and painless as possible for you guys. On the CIP side, we have quite a bit going on in the city, as you can see on the map. The red items are all our roadway projects. The blue items are all of our flood control projects. The salt lines are what's in construction now, and the dashed lines are what we have in design. Currently, our design projects, we have 20 projects totaling $8.5 million in design dollars that we currently are under contract with 14 different consulting firms in the valley. So we're really trying to put our engineering firms to work and trying to spread the work out as much as we possibly can. Of that $8.5 million, $5.5 million of it has been funded by the fuel revenue indexing. So that is a big component of our design dollars that we currently have out the door. Some of our projects of note that are in design, there's a couple that we're pretty excited about. We've got 2 complete streets projects in the downtown core area. We've got Cary Avenue from Revere to Pecos that is in design. We're going to do a complete streets concept that will make it more walkable and pedestrian friendly. And we're also doing the same thing on Las Vegas Boulevard from Tonopah to Cary. And so that will really kind of hopefully drive a lot of redevelopment in our downtown core area to kind of make the streets a little bit more friendlier to our pedestrians. We also have a pretty sizable flood control facility. It's the Beltway Detention Basin, which is here at the railroad in probably the Centennial Parkway area. It's a substantial facility. It's probably going to be close to a $9 million project once it's designed and out the door. So it's going to be a good project for us. It will also help with the development of the UNLV campus in the future as well. On our construction side, we have $73 million worth of projects currently under construction in the city. We have $23.5 million of that is actually FRI funded as well. So as you can see, there's a trend here. We have a lot of street projects under construction, and most of it were funded by the much needed fuel revenue indexing. Some of the projects of note on our construction side, we've got our North 5th Street 1D project is kicking off, which will touch down the bridge that crosses over I-15 for North 5th Street. It will not go quite as far as Cheyenne, but it will touch that down and complete that, that corridor. We also have the bus turnouts that, Mary, you were pretty crucial in getting us the funding for that. They're at Lake Mead and North 5th. Those are under construction now. We are awarding a bid for Colton flood control facility. It's going to be an interesting project because it's actually coring underneath the UPRR railroad tracks, which will be kind of cool to see. It's how I get my geeky engineer on when I go out and get to see those kind of projects. And the last one that's kind of a note is the first project that Public Works has done in support of our utilities department is the Arrowhead Acres waterline rehab project, that it's good to see that partnership happen, and it's been a fun project to work on for us. With that, that's our summary in a nutshell. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any of them for you.
Thank you. This is probably the council people might want a private meeting with you just to go over their districts. You know, there's some
Definitely.
new districts. Probably this is a lot to grab, but I will say, this girl's on fire. We just wish I could sing. Council, I want you to know, I sit on the RTC board, and every day I show up, I worry about the whole region. But man, we're fighting for North Las Vegas. We have you on boards. We want you fighting for North Las Vegas, because if you don't think that other members aren't quietly working that general manager, that other agency, you're wrong.
Right.
It's all about who represents the area and how they bring the dollars back to that area. So I'm just asking all of you, I don't know, really pay attention to what boards you're on, but I know you're active, but fight for North Las Vegas, because we're really gonna make a difference. If there's 10 projects going in RTC right now, 6 of them are going to North Las Vegas.
They sure are.
And I hate to say this, but I'm the most important person I know. And I would hope each and every one of you are, you know, as you go about your duties on these boards. So thank you very much, Jennifer. You probably ought to come in and make an appointment with each person.
Definitely, I will do that. And Mayor Pro Tem Wood, we've got some projects going in your ward this next go around. So yes.
Jennifer, you're a breath of fresh air.
I was feeling left out there for a little while.
I know. I made sure we had some on this map for you.
Dr. Liu, you've got a fine team working for you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Council members, it's council item time. Whoa. I think this probably goes in the city manager's report. Let me go back real quick. Today we just closed out our medical marijuana licensing opportunity. And there was a lot of activity down on the first floor, and I was shaking hands and, you know, excited to see a lot of people down there and encouraging them. But Mr. Blackburn, could you give us some kind of update, rudimentary if you have to, but some kind of update of what has happened if you're able to?
Absolutely, Mayor and Council. As you know, this is a project that's been underway for several months. We've been meeting with industry to find the right area to set our standards, set the ordinances and regulations. Our application period closed this afternoon. We had a total of 105 license applications, land use applications. We had a total of 35 conditional use permits and 70 special use permits. We are in the process of compiling our data. Staff has been working tirelessly, putting in 12-hour days, working without breaks, and we've been ordering food in so they could keep the customers going. I'm amazed at how well our staff has performed. People commented that applied in other entities how well they were received here, that we treated them as customers and provided excellent customer service. So again, very proud of these numbers. The total revenue of applications only is a little over $860,000 in the last 3 days that we've collected.
How much did you say?
I believe Mr. Adair is listening as well too, but $860,000 in the last 3 days over application fees. Mr. Jordan is creating an Excel spreadsheet of how these businesses will translate out into annual or origination fees, depending whether at Apex or within the valley. So we'll be able to put together a budget, and then again, depending on what the state does. We are, as you know, we're limited to 4 dispensaries at this time, and out of those 105 applications, approximately 20 of them were for dispensaries. Some may be dispensaries in conjunction with other vertical integration.
Yeah, well, that's exciting. I thank you for bringing that update.
Greg, how many applications did you say that was?
105.
I just don't know how the states can do their due diligence on this, but that's not our responsibility. Sandra, you're on that committee, I guess, or something. Or
I'm just on legislation going forward, not the part to analyze that.
Well, thank you very much. Now we'll go to council items. Council, do you have any items? I know it's getting late, but is there anything you'd like to offer?
Just real fast. By the time the council meets again, we'll be into Hispanic Recognition Month, and of course, I'd like to introduce an ordinance, of course, to follow our friends to the south. On the 20th of September, Councilman Coffin of Las Vegas is going to be having his ceremony for the what do you call it, the ceremonial naming of Pecos to Camino Cesar Chavez. And of course, it would be my wish that the council would entertain a similar proposition to rename our section of Pecos that runs through the very heart of the Latino population, and probably our largest private Latino-based area of commerce, Broadacre Swap Meet, the famous Broadacre Swap Meet, to follow suit with them and join our friends to the south. So I'm looking forward to that.
Councilman, that's a ceremonial sign, isn't it? It's not an actual address change.
No, it won't be an address change. Ceremonial, right? I think if the area fits, Pecos Road, of course, starts here in the very north, runs through our friends' jurisdiction, and then ends up in to our friends to the far south there in Henderson. It'd be a one really nice project that would tie in the three communities.
Thank you very much. Any other council information? Seeing none, we'll close council items. This is the second portion of the public forum. I have one blue card. Gary, did? Yes. Well, we do have one more thing. Let's go return back to council items.
I want to thank, I know it's part of Greg's team again, he's getting a lot of accolades, right? But it was actually reported on national news. I'm very happy that the city now has managed to overcome all the obstacles and bulldoze several eyesore and safety hazards in my ward and in Councilman Goins Brown's ward as well. Thank you very much. I know I'm sure the police and the police chief and the fire chief are also very much happy for this. And again, thank you very much for finally seeing this thing through.
Thank you very much. We will now go on to public forum. Gary, you have something important to say?
Yeah, I do. I know it's running late, so I'll try to talk real fast. I'm going to talk on a sensitive project. Sensitive topic, and believe me, I'm not trying to upset anybody. But I got to go to the meeting or the demonstration on Friday, where Mr. Perrone showed up and Pamela Goins Brown showed up to show solidarity with what happened in the Midwest in Ferguson. And I couldn't help but notice I was the only white person there. I think if people are afraid of their police department, and I met a lot of people at this rally who are afraid of their police departments, whether they have just cause or not, the fact that they are afraid of their police department is a serious problem in any community. And I thought it would have been nice if, I'm not putting you down because you're doing a great job, Mayor, but I wish you'd been there.
Actually, I don't think we were notified of that, but I will tell you I was in Elko, but I understand what you're saying. And
well, I'm not trying. Listen, I'm not trying to criticize anybody.
That's a good point.
I'm not trying to criticize the police. I'm not trying to point fingers, but I'm glad I went. I'll tell you what. I met some wonderful young people. A girl about 15 years old made this sign, and it speaks volume. All she's asking for is justice, peace, and unity. And
we can't exactly see it.
Oh, I'm sorry. And she asked me to bring this to the city council meeting because she has to go to bed and go to school. And I told her I would, and I thought she did a great job. I met nothing but peace-loving, wonderful people there, young people who care about their future in this country. And they were mostly Hispanics and black young people. But boy, they were great people, and I was so glad I got to spend time with them. And I think if they're nervous about the people who are hired to protect them, I think the police need to move forward, getting to know these people better, and to assure them that police brutality is also a concern to the police department. And I'm sure that any policeman who might be here tonight agrees with me that there's no room for police brutality in the department. And, this is something, it's not a black problem, it's not a white problem, it's not a Hispanic problem, it's everybody's problem. So, thank you, Pamela Goings-Brown, for showing up. Thank you, Mr. Barone, for showing up. If I hear more meetings like this, I'll call you guys up. It would have been nice to have you guys there.
That's fine. I actually heard about it and heard it was very well attended. There was a lot of hugging going on between the people.
Yeah, I love the hugging part. Yeah.
But I will tell you this, that I've talked to Chief Cronister. We've talked to quite a few different people leading up to this. We're going to go into the community a little bit, and with any council member wants to. Part of the problem is we have to teach our children what to do and not to do, and how to act, and how to be.
I'm glad you brought that up.
And so it's a two-sided thing, and sometimes people don't understand what's going on in the mind of the other person.
Yeah, believe me, we talked about that at this meeting, and a lot of people don't know how to interact with the police department. And this is something that we can do through the high school system. The police can go out, meet with young people and say, hey, sooner or later you're going to get pulled over for something or other, and you don't want the police to feel threatened. Whenever I get pulled over, especially at night, I turn the dome light on, I put both hands on the steering wheel because I don't want to make that guy nervous. And these are things people need to know. And a lot of these are young people. They don't know how to, what the police expect out of them. So I'm not pointing fingers at you, Mayor. I think you're doing a great job. I'm not pointing fingers at our police department, but I think the police department needs to be aware that there are people in this community that feel like they're afraid of their own police. And I'm sure the police department doesn't want that. And I think, the next time we have one of these meetings, we should have the chief of police come in and say, what can we do to get you to like us again? Because without people working in the community with the police department, you're not going to solve very many crimes.
True. I'm going to ask Chief to come up here for just 1 second and applaud him for something, but I do want you to know that our police and our chief are very well known within the community, and I never get a statement that, is that guy still there? We want to get rid of him. He's mean. He trains well. We get a lot of response. But Chief, I have a question for you. I think the body camera issue seems to be maybe the equalizer. As I've been watching this, what are your take on this? Because you do have a community that respects and loves your police department. And actually, I had police chiefs, Larry Burns is running, came to my office and says, I don't know what you guys are doing over here, but you look at Metro and you look at you guys, you should come in and teach our guys how to handle situations. That was a very high compliment for you. But I'd like to talk to you about the body cameras, if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely, Mayor. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I will tell you, it's priority. I can't say priority one. Obviously, policing the city of North Las Vegas is priority one, but I can assure you that body cameras are high on my list. It is actually our intentions to take our federal seizure dollars that we receive that afford us a little bit more latitude on how we can, number one, save them and spend those dollars, look at a capital outlay, and actually use those monies as we go forward with body cameras. That is absolutely our goal. We probably will need somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 million, $1.2 million in order to do that. I'm actually going to meet with some people tomorrow at 1:30, hoping that maybe they'll adopt us. I am a believer in it's all or none. You cannot do 50%, 60%, 70%, because as soon as you do that, an incident's going to occur, and the one person that does not have that device on them is going to be the one that's involved in it. That creates, in and of itself, a little bit of distrust as a result of it. But it is absolutely something that we're interested in, something that we absolutely want to embrace. We currently have some officers that were wearing their own. We had to stop that for a number of reasons. One, there's some issues that come into play as far as any evidence that is potentially on that device that they are required or would be required to have to protect and present in a court hearing. So we've eliminated that. We've stopped that and do not allow that to occur currently in our department. But we're definitely working on that. We're moving towards that. Our goal is to absolutely outfit our organization with body cameras. I like body cameras far more than the in-car camera, purely because not everything's done on the hood of your car. However, if you have something affixed to you, wherever you go, it goes. What you see, it sees in doing so. But we are looking at a number of different vendors. As I said, tomorrow I'm actually meeting with a company to discuss that. One other thing I think that Mr. Bouchard brought up is as far as what we referred to as the Law and You program. It was a program that actually was brought and taught by the North Las Vegas Police Department and the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department in conjunction with the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives and the Black Police Officers Associations. And we would go into our faith-based communities and have those very discussions with them as it relates to, again, the law and you. What do you do? Answer those questions for the folks. And I can tell you, the question was posed to me. And I can assure you, as I sit in front of you today, that if a motorcycle police officer gets behind me, I too get nervous.
So I'll just, most of the men and women in uniform that are out there with intermingling with the public, do you need one? Do you have command people? I mean, if we could get some of those on and then continue to add to those rather than, well, if we can't get them out, we're not going to do them.
No. When I say all, when I talk about those men and women that are wearing the uniform out, performing the duties of responding to calls for service, those are the priorities. Those are the ones. Those folks there, as well as traffic officers, but that would include sergeants. That would include lieutenants that are out there in our patrol force doing so. Detectives, those types of positions there. You know what? We'll deal with that later. But SWAT officers, I absolutely would love to have our SWAT operators when they're going in and they're serving a search warrant or they're taking some type of tactical action, that they too are equipped with a body camera.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate you coming up once again. And
thank you.
Acknowledge all that you do for us. Thank you, Gary, for...
And like I say, I did not mean to point fingers or upset anybody. I'm just trying to bring things in front of your attention that I saw down there.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the time.
Nope, thank you. I heard very, very great responses. Anything else from council? I see nothing. This meeting is adjourned.